All right, we're back. We're back. Welcome back to our Corbelic Studios. We're back for another live stream of us painting. We're going to be taking care of some paintings. We're going to be knocking some 14 by 11s out, some 16 by 20s. I want to do some cubisms. I want to do some impressionisms. I want to see whatever we have that's in the reference. Like I said, I don't know what's in the reference thing most of the times. I just go on to what the next one is. I kind of have an idea of what I put in there, but I just don't know what the next one is. It doesn't matter. We're just going to be knocking them out. And today's topic that we're going to be talking about is the mistakes that I made, things that I wish that I would have done different if I could start today, if I could start all over, what different things that I would be doing. All right. So let's see if we have people here. Let me know if you're able to see me, if you're able to hear me, if everything is good. Let me make sure that we're live right now. All right, we're rocking and rolling. So let me just get our art piece up. All right, cool. Just making sure that we're all good, making sure that everything is set up. Look, we got our palette right here. We got the camera set up. Everything is set up and ready to go. I told you, look, I always get better with every single day. Like the things that we made mistakes on the day before, or things that are always a little bit slower, or things that maybe we didn't even feel right in our spirit, right? Like something didn't sit right with us. We need to reflect on it and just try to do better the next day, or at least try to be prepared or mentally think about how you can go about it. So these are some of the things that I implement in my own life to how to be successful, is things that I feel like I need to calculate a little bit more or recalibrate. I always come back and I always try to do what's best, and I try to do something better to streamline it. So we're on time this morning. Going to get a little bit more people in here, and that's fine. Hope everybody's good. Hope you got your paint ready. I got all my paint ready. You can see here everything is still the same of what it was yesterday. I have some more references that I'm going to be knocking out. But yeah, I got some. We're going to be having some cool conversations today, like we always have, and just really brainstorm different things that I wish that I would have done different. I have some ideas and references and bullet points of things that we're going to be discussing, but it's going to be also cool where we could just feed off of it of different things that, yeah, there's a lot of things over the past 8 years that I wish I would have done different. A lot of different things. But that is what it is. Now, one of the things that I do, like before I go to sleep at night, is that I kind of like do a meditate, right? And I meditate on what my day is going to be like. I visualize what the next day is going to be like, and I do like a prep right there. And then what I'm able to do is see if it either aligns with my checklist, or if there's new material that's going to be added to the checklist, and then I'm able to draw it out. I'm able to fill it out and either change up whatever the checklist is. Because I'm like a surgeon around here, all right? I'm like a pilot, where I need to make sure that I have certain checklists to make sure that things are in order. If not, it just gets too lost in the fog. And I know that's a lot of the problems that's going on a lot of times when I'm talking to members inside the community, or just even other businesses, when I'm talking to people and they're saying that, they got this going on, they got this going on. And really, it's really just as simple as just taking your time out to write a checklist out, write down what your day is going to be, and then getting it all on paper so that way it's not in your head, because you'll get lost. And it's easy for all of us to get lost. All right, what's going on, Taurus? You join the elite community. That's what's up. All right, so yeah, now that you're in there, introduce yourself in there to the community. Let them know, that you're there. Tell us what your whys are, because that's the biggest thing that I ask in there, is like, tell us what your why is. And then also start your 14-day sales orientation. From there, every single day is going to build you closer to your sale. It's going to get you started on understanding more about eBay, how to build up the proper foundation. Because a lot of times people think it's just as simple as just, oh, I'm just going to start eBay and I'm going to start selling stuff, without the guidance or the coaching. And then they come back whenever they join the program, and then they find out that they messed their whole account up, and then you got to start all over, or you got to do things properly, and it's just a mess. So people think it's just as simple as, I'm going to start an eBay store. And you can ask anybody that's in the membership right now, or anybody that's been doing Elite, everybody will tell you, no, it's not that simple. There's a whole different structure of how you need to have the foundations, how you need to build your foundations properly. brick by brick. So you're going to build your brick by brick in the 14-day sales orientation. And by you doing that, you're also going to have the confidence. You're going to know what you're doing, but also with that, you're going to be able to get your first sales. You're going to be getting yourself out there. Don't skip a day. Just take it time by time, because you're going to see that those 14 days are going to go by like that. It's going to go by so quick. So just get all that going. Let's see here. I make a checklist and then I forget to look at them. You see, that's the thing right there. That's also part of the checklist. That's also part of the checklist too. You can have a checklist. A lot of us even probably have checklists, but then we forget to check it, or we do certain things to self-sabotage ourselves. I mean, come on, us humans, we're silly. We do silly stuff, and really success is so simple. We just overcomplicate it because we were trained ever since we were kids that everything needs to be more it needs to be complicated. Like, we were trained that in order to sell expensive art or to be successful in business, that it needs to be more difficult than what it is, and you need to go through all these steps, and you need to go through a traditional 5-year college, and you need to spend this amount of it's not true at all. These are all over convoluted things, and God doesn't want things to be that complicated for you. It's supposed to be simple. And just as long as you believe in that yourself and you just simplify everything, everything starts working for you. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to complicate things in your life, and the more that you try to make things more grand than what it is, it doesn't work out for you. It doesn't feel good, and then you don't get the results that you want. But then the moment that you actually you let go, and you're like, whatever, I don't even care anymore. The moment that you say, I don't care anymore, and you let go, then that's when it works out for you. But also, you got to have the checklist too. So there's a formula for how you got to do it. All right. I'm not saying don't care and you don't have a checklist and things, but you still got to have a checklist, but then still go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. At least I'm showing up. I'm doing my routine. Anything past that, I can't control, and I don't care. All right. Let's see what else we got here that's in the comments. Good morning, Jada Hunter. Not at all simple. Never skip steps. Exactly. Hey, discerning light. All right. So we got the crew here. Everybody's here for now. That's cool. So look, like I said, we're on time today. So far, everything worked out perfect. I set up everything last night. I streamlined the mistakes that I had to make everything more clear. And so far, so good. So let's get into this painting right now, so I don't have to be here a little bit longer than I need to be. All right. Let me set my timer. My timers are there. All right, cool. Let's see what the first painting is going to be. I know what the first painting is going to be. I can see it. All right, let me raise this a little bit. Cool. Our first painting right now is going to be a pop culture cartoon. And you could do cartoons if you want to. Just make it in your own version, or even if you don't make it in your own version, you could just put a C on the end for copyright, and you won't be in trouble for anything. Don't feel too deep about it. We're not printing out millions of T-shirts for whatever the thing is. We're not going to concerts and making merchandise out of it. So it's not a big deal, and nobody's going to try to spend their time to try to sue little OU. You're not that important. All right, so let's do this right now. Boom. So here you can see where we're about to do a Pink Panther. Pink Panther. Let's do it. People love these cartoon icons. They do very well. And I love doing them as well. And because it reminds me of my childhood, and it reminds other people of their childhood as well. So that's why they love it, because it's nostalgia. It's nostalgia for when times were more simple. And people want to be reminded of when times were more simple. Who doesn't, right? I mean, that's why they remake these movies that are from the early 80s and stuff like that. I mean, you think these kids nowadays who want to see these movies, or they're supposed to be kids' movies, you think they know anything about like He-Man or I don't know, any of these other remakes that they have that's either from the 70s or 80s? And every time I see them, I'm like, Who are they making these movies for? For the kids that's supposed to see them, or for the parents? They always want to make them because it reminds people from a time when things were more simple. Hey Sharon, good morning. Hope you're good. We're on time this morning. Now, when we were just talking about now, we were talking about a time where things were more simple. And that's what the nostalgia reminds you of. That's what these type of paintings of cartoons is, where things are more simple. So the segue into that is talking about what I would do different, or things that I've done, the mistakes that I've made when I started out doing eBay. And boy, I made a lot of mistakes. So anytime that I hear mistakes inside the community and you're down on yourself, I'm like, I made way more mistakes than you combined, more than everybody here combined. And don't feel down on yourself, because these are all ways of how you learn. One of them is, like we were talking about, the simple times, is I overcomplicated things. I didn't make things simple. I thought I was coming from the gallery world, so I was thinking that everything had to be grand, everything had to be so complicated. Ooh, I just dropped some pink down there on the ground. I thought everything had to be so complicated in order for me to sell art, meaning that I didn't have a time structure. I overthought everything. I overthought what I was painting. I overthought my references. I don't even think I was really, back then, I don't even think I was even really using references, to be honest, now that I think about it. They were all like original ideas. They all had to be original. Think about that. Think about how long that would take. So every time I was doing art back then, when I first started doing eBay, all of them were original ideas. So I would have like a notepad or something, right? And what I would do on my notepad is I would scribble kind of like images that look like images, but they weren't really. What I would do really is, a way for me to be original, is I would take like a marker, a deep marker that had a bleed through on a thin piece of paper. And then I would scribble blindfold, like I'll watch TV or something, right? I'm not looking at the piece of paper, I'm blindfolded. Well, not blindfolded, but I'm watching TV and I'm not looking at the piece of paper. And the markers bleed through. And I would scribble in with my hand, but I would think in my hand somewhat of what a face would look like, or whatever, like something of what, like an abstract cubism face. And I would just keep going. I would do that. And I would do that all the time on these pieces of paper, so it would bleed through. Then once it bled through with the marker, I would flip over the piece of paper. And then when I flip over the piece of paper, whatever bled through, I would look at it and I would try to find the image of what I could do that's somewhat symmetrical. And then I would draw that out of whatever my imagination feels like it's somewhat close symmetrical to a face. And that's how I would get my gallery images. That's how I would get my original paintings. And then after what I drew those out, I would take a picture of it, I would scan it, and then I would put it on the projector for me to then freestyle it onto what I'm doing. I mean, look at all those steps that you have to do just so I could do whatever my original painting was then, because I have to be original. If I'm not original, they're going to make fun of me. They're going to know that I'm a fraud. The whole art world's going to laugh at me. They're going to say, I knew, Corbellic, you didn't come up with your own ideas. I feel like I was into the whole idea that everything had to be new under the sun, which is just impossible, because there's nothing new under the sun. But you couldn't tell me that. I tried to find the way where it had to be new under the sun. So even if I had to draw blindfolded or watching the TV without looking at it and find out whatever that comes out of it, then that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to draw it backwards, and then I'm going to have it go under reverse, and then I'm going to sketch it out. And I'm going to use the projector to then do that. And then I'm going to really freestyle it again once it's on the canvas after I draw it out a little bit. And then back then, check this out. So I was using the projector, right? But I wasn't painting how I'm painting now. Once I started painting how I'm painting now, like I think I was in the eBay game for at least two and a half years until I started painting like how I'm painting now, which is just go straight into the projector and use it. It's easier this way. And I can see the colors go through. Instead, what I used to do, I used to actually draw it out on the canvas. Could you imagine that? How much time that takes? That's just dumb. And then it's like, what difference does it make? But for me, in my mind, it was like, I guess it was I don't know. I'm still being an artist. And I'm drawing them out on the canvas, like with a pencil, sketching it. Oh, it's got to look like that. And then what happens is when you're caught in that mindset of sketching it or whatever, even if you try to fight it or say that you're not going to do it or whatever, you naturally paint inside the lines. You know, when they always say, don't paint outside the lines, naturally you do that because the lines are right there. So if the lines are right there, it's kind of like you end up painting within them sometimes, most times, because the line is there and you're looking at a blank white canvas. So if you paint over the line, you're going to feel like you messed up your line of what you sketched out from the projector. Oh my God, I painted over the line. How can I find it again? You can't find it again. But this way, when we paint, this way, when we use just the projector, it doesn't matter if I paint over the line because I can just see where the line is at anyways with the projector. And it just took so much time. Like I used to do that for years. When I was in my gallery days and I was still using the projector, right? What I used to do is I used to gesso the big canvas. I'm talking the big ones, right? The big canvases. So I used to lay them flat on the table because at this time, I'm still a starving broke artist and I'm like in a 1-bedroom apartment. So I'm like using the kitchen table and I didn't have a studio or anything like that. I'm using the kitchen table to lay it out. I mean, of course, on the kitchen table, I laid out the plastic cloth, you know, or the plastic sheet, or how I even do it now. I think I was still doing it how I do it now. It's just like maybe even the trash bag, or maybe it was the plastic sheet, whatever. And I would gesso the big canvas, and then what I would do, because I'm being an artist, I would gesso it twice so it could have two times the layer of gesso. So that way when you paint it, because sometimes even when you gesso a canvas one time, the canvas is so dry and thirsty, like that first layer of gesso just doesn't do it. So I needed that second layer, you know, let it dry. I would let it dry. I would use the hair dryer at the time. I would let it dry. And then I do a second layer of the gesso. And then when it dries, I would go in with the pencil or pen, and I would sketch out our painting. I would sketch it out. And then sometimes like even the sketch though, it would take me a while because I'm doing mosaics at the time a lot. I'm doing a lot of mosaics when I'm doing my gallery art. And I gotta paint inside the lines. And it would take me a while. And I wasn't even using a good projector back then. Back then I was using a projector where it was like, you know, one of those kid ones where it's like the traceable ones where you put the image underneath of it. It's like it's not even working off of a computer. It's not even plugged into anything. There's no HDMI. There's no nothing. It's just one of those like kid ones with the crowns, or you just put the image on top. Because I thought that I was creating something new. I thought I was the first one. I thought I was the first artist out there to like break through and do this projector thing. I'm like, no one else is doing this but me, not knowing there's a whole history behind it, right? With all other artists that are doing it, and it would take me a while to do the tracing, where I'm doing the pencil mark on there, and when I'm done doing the tracing, because sometimes that took so long, I'm talking hours sometimes, because I'm doing mosaics at the time. Sometimes it would take so long that here I'm feeling like that was the job itself, right? That's the job itself. And then I would take like my break. Whew, I did work, y'all. Whew. That was a hard day, y'all. Whew. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like an artist. I did work. I did the polar bear hairs, right? The polar bear hairs. I was doing that type of stuff. I'm feeling like I'm productive because I'm doing the polar bear hairs, when I'm not even close to the completion of the job. I'm not even doing the job itself. The job itself is going to be done, luckily, at the end of the week. Maybe at this time, how I'm working it. Yeah, those artographs, that's what they were called. I can't believe they still sell them. I don't know if they still sell them. I think they do. Maybe you're right. I'm pretty sure they do sell them. And I'm doing the polar bear hairs. And then I'm like, ooh, that was a good day. That was a hard day's work. That was a hard day of work, honey. Honey, I was productive today. I did a lot of work today, honey. What did you do? I drew out polar bear hairs. Can't you see? But it's not done yet. But I did. I sketched it out. So here I sketched it out, and I'm spending all the time doing that. And then when I'm ready, then I go back into the canvas. And here, I'm going to sign this one off. I go back into the canvas. Actually, let's make this different. So here, we're going to make this a little bit different right now. On this one, we're just going to put pink. Why not? Because I can. Then when it's time for me to go back into the canvas and paint, I'm seeing the lines, and I'm on the gesso. And I know how long this process took me. So there's parts of me that feels like I don't want to mess it up. This is a whole process. Like when you start doing rituals like that, there's parts of you that don't want to mess up the ritual because you know how long it took you to do parts of the ritual. And I mean, you can't deny it. So here, I'm spending all this time, and I'm not even painting. I'm just doing the rituals. So there, I'm overcomplicating it. Now, part of this story is me talking about me doing like kind of gallery work, but this is the kicker. I'm still bringing these rituals over into eBay. That's the point of the buildup of the story. All right, if you're still with me. The point is, the story is me doing these rituals, and I'm so stuck in this mindset from the gallery world is that I'm bringing these same practices over to eBay. And it doesn't work like that with eBay, because with eBay, we need to get straight into the volume. We need to get straight into the practice of what we're doing. Instead of thinking that me spending all this time into the practice of these rituals of making these Mona Lisas, that I'm guaranteed success. People are going to love it regardless because don't they understand I'm Corbellic? And then it doesn't work like that. Look, there we go right there, pink. Well, there's our Pink Panther right there. Something different, something cool. Like I said, people love the nostalgia. It reminds us of a simple time. And I had to learn the hard way because I'm at this point I'm doing eBay, and I said to myself that I'm going to go faster. I'm going to go faster, but really it's like I'm only doing like 5 canvases a day at this point, and that's me thinking I'm working fast, and I'm not. Like one of the practices that I'm still bringing into eBay at this time is I was sketching out my canvases. Now I started to go a little bit smaller. For me, smaller at that time was doing 16 by 20s. I was doing a lot of 16 by 20s. And I was sketching them out still. Let's see here. Just make sure this is right. I'm still sketching them out. And there we go. Let's see how I want to hit this off. I'm going to do the red on the outside and then focus on the inside on this one. We're doing Pepe Le Pew. People love Pepe Le Pew. They sell very well. But I'm still sketching them out on the canvases when I'm doing eBay. And then what I would do is that I would sketch out a bunch of them at once. So maybe I would sketch out like 5 at once or 10 at once. I would just sketch them out so that way I had the sketches done. So that part's done, and I put them to the side, and then I would go back in once they're all sketched out, the ones that I want sketched out. I'm not working off of the projector. I'm only using the projector to sketch them out. But I'm not using the projector how we're working it now to actually look at what I'm doing. So then, all right, I put the projector away, and then I paint them. But what I would do when I paint them, I would have to also print out the reference the picture. I had to print out the reference picture so I can know where the colors lie at, or what it should somewhat look like. So yet I'm still like focusing too much on what it should be and drawing inside the lines. See, people who don't paint like us off of the projector, they don't understand that we're being more creative than anything by using the projector, because we're free to do choices of what we want, compared to when you're just using a reference like that and you're going off of you're too focused on trying to be correct. We save time because we're using the proportions, but yet we're also free to do the creative choices of what we want that's inside of us. That's the things that I talk about. That's why this is an art school. This is why this is an art class. It's already inside of you, and the projector's already there. But when you have something that you already had the proportions of, or maybe you already sketched out, like even if you sketched it out and you do your own sketchings, you're going to try to always look at your reference to make sure the sketch is correct. It's got to be correct to the sketch. And then you're going to be so paranoid about drawing outside the lines. I don't want to draw outside the lines, because if you draw outside the lines, it's like, oh, I'm not using the projector right now. I don't know where the lines are at. So if I draw over the lines, what am I going to do? I'm lost. I don't know where I'm at. I drew over the line. And compared to with us, I mean, we could just see the line and we could do whatever we want past it. That's fine. Let's see here. Let's see what you're saying in here. Where did you get your 2-inch brush? It's not on the list. The 2-inch brush. Oh yeah, the 2-inch brush isn't on there. The 2-inch is the 2-inch is from Michaels. This one right here. Sally Mae said, where did I get this brush from? The 2-inch brush. This is it right here. I got this from Michael's. I didn't put it on the list because I think this one's a little bit of a little expensive from what I remember, I think. But you could also get a 2-inch brush like this too from Hobby Lobby. I mean, you could get really any brush. The only reason I use this one is just that way so I can cover the mass of the when I could cover the paint on the canvas. But you could use a cheap brush for that too. Here, hold on. Let me come over here. Let me grab this real quick for you since you brought it up. I mean, you could grab this too. Check this out. Like, you could get this brush too. You could use this brush that's from I got this from the dollar store. You know, I could use this anytime that I'll have, like, if I lay out canvases that's on the table, I'll lay this out and just get the background going. I don't care. It doesn't have to be my 2-inch. But the one that I use when I'm painting, like right now, I'm using this is the 1-inch. So this is a 1-inch right here, and this is on the list. Let's see here. Ha says, do you think when robots come, it will benefit the artists because people will appreciate handmade? That's a good point. I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't know how to answer. I don't know. That's a good question. I just know that it is going to have an effect on the market and it will be there. But, you know, that's a good question. I don't know if it'll be like, well, people are going to appreciate those humans then. I think it's going to get to a point where it's going to be like, how do you know the difference? I think it's going to be very quick where it's going to be like, how are you going to know the difference? Unless you really go outside of yourself with some type of art. But I think that you can even train robots how to even go outside themselves. I don't know, man. That's going to be a good question. It just depends on how advanced the technology is and also what kind of art that humans are going to do. I mean, humans always are creative and we'll have some type of creative way to separate ourselves, but it just depends on what the separation will be. Yeah, people are tired of the AI slop. I mean, we use AI as art references, but it's just the references. It's not to be a it's not to be a total replica because you could tell when it's a replica, but we don't teach replicas in here anyways. So I would waste so much time still painting like that. And then I'm telling you, the thing that always it drove me crazy was like, how do I get faster? How do I get faster? How do I do things faster? It would keep me up at night. I would always think about how do I do things faster? Because once you start understanding your market, you're going to understand that they don't they don't really know the difference or they don't really care. So it's like some things. So for example, some things that I might feel like I needed to do details on, and it needed to be this way because I'm coming from this gallery mindset. It's like after a while, once you start knowing your market and your audience, they're not even checking for those details that you might have think that are the details. Certain things in your art pieces that you think that you might have needed, because in your mind you equated it to the sale. You equate it to, well, I have to put this last piece of detail, little glint thing in here, because if not, it's not going to sell for. And then after a while, you start doing it for a while, you're going to realize they're not even checking for that little detail that you thought that you needed to add to it. And you're like, I could just paint whatever and it's going to sell because the 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 buyer, they don't care about the process. They don't care about your method. They don't care about any of that stuff that you might think is important. Or the only time that other people care about the stuff that you think is important is other artists. So that's why I used to always say, like, a lot of times artists in the gallery world, especially, or things like that, they would make paintings that only artists, for other artists, they would do everything for other artists, but not for the customer, because the customer doesn't know and the customer don't care. The customer only cares about the end results. And a lot of times the end results could also just be a great story behind it. You could say that you've done You can say that you spent 100 hours on the polar bear hair. Like maybe that video that I actually watched of that guy who said he spent 100 hours painting polar bear hairs. Maybe he didn't even spend 100 hours doing it, but the whole magic of it is him making a Instagram influencer type video of him saying that he did 100 hours. So then when people look at it, they're going to be thinking buyers who actually, want something like that, they're going to be thinking something's more grand than what it is. Because, oh, this guy, like it's a great dinner story when they have in their dining room or wherever they're going to hang it up at. Wow, tell me more about this painting. Well, the artist actually, he had an exotic paintbrush that he got from the Himalayas off of a camel's tail, and it was threaded using 1,000 hours from penguins. And then what he did is he spent 100 hours on his tippy toes the whole time. He was standing on his tippy toes the whole time, and then he did 1,000 hairs of the penguin or of the polar bear. Wow, that's so amazing. But the whole time, he might be the only one who knows that he didn't do any of that. He might be the one who knows that he didn't do any of that, but it just sold a great story of something that he made a video of. Like, we have fun and we talk about the polar bear hair story, right? But the thing is, how I feel about any artist or anybody online, no matter what it is, I'm not like, even though I might not personally like that style or something I might not do, but I don't hate on anybody's hustle or anybody's way of doing whatever they're doing. I respect all of it, even the ones that I don't respect or even like. I can respect the fact that you're there, that there's a market out there that you hustle, and the other people out there who are trying to be like, well, I can't believe you're doing polar bear hair things. It needs to be like this, or you're not. Those are the ones who think that they're going to just stand by being broke, and then one day out of the sky they're going to be blessed with a paycheck or whatever, or they're going to be blessed with some type of opportunity. But by then, that guy has already taken care of his family. He's already made whatever he's did off of the story of him doing that. Can you talk about why and how you use the rubbing alcohol? I use rubbing alcohol. What do I use the rubbing alcohol with? Let's see here. I'm not getting much from using the AI reference so far. I'm going to use my photos and wing it. You could do that as well. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's so many inside of the community. I have so many different reference ideas for you to go about. If you don't want to do the AI ones, then you can go about Pinterest. You could go about using photos that's in your phone. You could go about painting real life things. You could be inspired by anything. That's the whole thing of it. Like, I mean, a lot of times I don't paint from just AI. I'll paint something. I'll paint the Roman Colosseum, but I'll do it in my own version. It doesn't have to be the AI. You could paint, you could be inspired by anything. And just because something, like if it's real life, right? Like the Roman Colosseum or the Eiffel Tower, just because there might be aspects of it in the real life image where it's like, oh, that's too detailed, then you could just make it rough in your version. You could paint it quick in your version and they'll still be great because people understand the imagination of what you're trying to interpret, of what you're trying to put on. So they understand that. You don't have to draw 1,000, a million, 100 hour panda bear hairs or polar bear hairs so you can have people know this is a polar bear. I'm pretty sure they get the point without you having to do that. Let's see here. Can you talk about why and how you use the rubbing alcohol? I don't know. I think other people inside the community were referencing how they use rubbing alcohol, but I don't use it. Some people, from what I believe, some people were saying inside the community how they use rubbing alcohol is that they paint off the glass instead of the stay wet palette. which I prefer because I could just peel it off. I could just lift this thing off and I'm done. I'll put another one on there, right? Or I could just like I think what a lot of people were saying, some people were saying is that they like to paint on top of the glass. So it's easier for them. Like I think they spray with alcohol first and then put the paint on, or maybe it's easier for them to take the paint off with the rubbing alcohol, something like that. I don't know. Seems like a lot of work for me. I'm a lazy artist. So I don't want to do extra steps. I just want to peel off the paper when I'm done with it and then put on another one. I was I was um I was thinking about that this morning, right? One of my early videos I was talking about find your cheats. Find your shortcuts, find your cheats, find your shortcuts. I mean, there's a famous quote that I think it was Bill Belichick said, or somebody like that. It was a winning coach, something like that. I'm not a sports head, but I just remember this quote and it always stuck out to me. They said that if you're not cheating, you're not trying. You understand that? Like, yeah, you still have to be talented or you still have to put in the work. But if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And then the ones who are complaining that people, well, they're cheating, they got this, and they're going to get theirs and something like that. And it's like by the time that you're waiting for life to swing around back your way and in the opposite of their way, you're going to be dead and they're already going to be taking care of their family, or they're going to have a new generation of family that they have already taken care of because they found their shortcut. And you thinking that there's no shortcut in life, then what life are you living in? Is life that fair to you where you think there's no shortcuts? So one of my early videos, I was talking about that kid, I think what was it, Will Smith's son? And he's like some fashion director or something now, but for one of the fashion houses of like I don't know, one of those things. It's not my thing. I'm not into the kid. I'm not into celebrityism. It's not my thing. But the thing is, what I said to myself, I respect the cheat code or the shortcut of the hustle, where it's like he didn't go to our school. He didn't have to be the assistant in the person who was like the intern for years. The intern actually went to art school for 5 years and then creative, and then had to be an intern and then serve them coffee, and then hopefully you get picked to be the assistant years later to a creative director. But this kid, he didn't do none of that crap, right? Because of whatever, he's a nepo baby or whatever, and he just went straight to it. And then he picks from people who actually did all that stuff. Like you think, like by the time some people are going to be like, well, he's using the projector, he didn't do it right, he didn't, well, he's going to get his karma. And by the time that you're waiting for this kid to get his karma, you're already going to be broke or dead, and he's already got a new lineage of family that's already taken care of. Like, figure these things out for yourself, put this into place for yourself. Hey, Zinjin. You said, Zinzin said, I love Jade and he's always evolving. I don't have no opinion either or. I don't have an opinion either or for these people. It's just like, I just, I respect anybody. I respect a hustle. Even if I don't like the hustle, or even if I'm not someone who would buy into the hustle, I wouldn't buy whatever the name brand thing is or whatever. I wouldn't buy none of the music but I respect where it's like, if there's a market out there to be hustled, and if you're hustling it, then you like that's that's like probably the oldest profession. That's as old as humankind right there. That's as old as man. And as old as man too, there's always suckers out there. I just remember loving the movie Matilda growing up because I used to always say that line. There's a sucker born every minute. You just need to put yourself on the outside of where you're not going to be the sucker, or you're trying to figure it out, or you're being a sucker. And don't be someone thinking that it's gonna come my way one day. And that those other people who didn't deserve it, they're going to find out soon how they didn't deserve it. No, they're not. And they're not going to know who you are. They're not going to think about anything about you. So I used to overthink things, and I used to try to make these Mona Lisas, and thinking as long as I did that, and I'm using the projector thing, but nobody has to know about it, because if they found about it, oh my God, I'm such a fraud. And they're going to say that I'm not an artist. Like, I was so paranoid that people finding out about me using the projector. Like, now it's just so silly to think about, right? Because I don't even care. Like, I'm so past that. But back then it was like, I used to, and that's another thing too, is like one of my things that I used to overthink a lot. Check that out. And I know that everybody else is guilty of this as well. Isn't that cool? Pepe Le Pew. One of the things that I used to overthink a lot, and I know so many people have this problem now, especially if you're new in here. I mean, you can't help it. You can't help it because we're humans. The thing that sucks, and it takes a while, is that we care about what other people think. It's okay, not that we care about what other people think. We actually think so. Like, when I was going through this time when I was overcomplicating things and I was overthinking, I used to overthink that people were thinking about me. Right? Like, so at times when we overthink things and we think about other people, we're actually thinking in our minds that we're that important and that everybody's checking for us or thinking about us or what we're doing. So I'm scared to use a projector. I'm scared to do this. I'm scared to use this reference. I'm scared to draw. I need to be original because everybody's checking for Corbellic. Everybody's thinking about me. And then after I started doing this for a while, and it took years for me to break out, where it's like, here, hold on. There's parts of my life I'm not living to my full extent because I'm thinking that people are checking for me that aren't even checking for me. And the people who I think that are or they aren't, they don't even matter at the end of it. And it's like years go by and you have to check yourself to be like, hold on, you're the problem. These people aren't even checking for you. Start with you says, I can't believe how fast you are. Oh, I'm not fast. I'm not fast at all right now because I'm talking, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I've seen that video too, where it's 717 best, where it says muralist use projector and meta glasses. I seen that. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was a cheat code for sure. Where I seen they were using the video that I saw is someone who was using the iPhone goggles or whatever. They would have whatever their thing is, and then they would have the proportion of whatever the thing that they're going to paint on, and then it locks in, and then they use the goggles, and then they were able to do that. I think that would be more difficult though, to be honest. I think that would be way more difficult than how I use it off of the projector. I don't know. I just think that would be difficult. Like something on my face the whole time like that while I'm painting. I couldn't really be like, I think that would be a little bit more. I don't know. I can't judge. I can't say that because I haven't used it. Maybe I would learn. Because I know even for me starting off when I used the projector and I'm using it how I'm using it now, I still had to learn how to go into the flow of it and use it. So everything you can learn. Let's see here. I had to set my auctions to private. I forgot to do that. Got my first bid at 99. That's what's up. You're the problem. Yes, I'm trying to catch myself more and more. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of times we're the problem. We're the problem. And but it takes years, and it also takes a strong person to realize that with accountability. Most people, most humans, unfortunately, we're not accountable. We don't like to be accountable. We like to place blame on other situations and things that's outside of us. And it takes a very strong individual to realize that you're the issue, that you're the one who needs to check yourself, pretty much. That's how I look at it. There's certain things in my life, in order for me to become better as an artist, eBay, within my business, I had to meditate and I had to check myself. I had to check my ego, and I had to check my situation where it's like, um, no one's checking for you like that, bro. Like, you're not that important. and you're going to have years go by of your life. This is the thing that checked me. It's like you're going to have years of your life go by if you keep on going at this trajectory where these people who aren't checking for you, they're living their life. Just for example, when we're talking about these celebrities or whoever, and sometimes people will be like, oh, well, they're not talented, they didn't deserve it. And I could agree with all of that. That's not the discussion. The thing is, they're already doing their shortcut and they're living their life. They know nothing about who you are, and you're over here not living your life. It's same thing with your family members or certain people from your past. You could be thinking that these people are checking. I don't want to do this because what if they think that I'm trying to be a full-time artist and I'm embarrassing myself, and you think they're checking for you? They're not even checking for you, but they're living their life, and you're not living your life or the things to your full extent. You could be actually making money tomorrow. It happens that quick. It happens that quick once you click it on in your mind and you start checking yourself and stop overcomplicating things and stop overthinking things and start living your life to your fullest. I swear to you, it happens very sudden. It can happen as early as tomorrow where you have an opportunity. That's why I always say, like, one of my favorite movies is with Fight Club, not about the fighting or any of that, because that's not what the movie is based on. It's just more, it's a philosophical movie where it's like, he says, as soon as you hit rock, you realize that as soon as you hit rock bottom, you're free to do anything. And you can have that mindset even if you're not at rock bottom, even if you are financially or whatever. You could still, even if you are rich or whatever, us as humans, you can still have a point where you hit rock bottom in your mind and you're tired, you're frustrated, or you have certain things that you want to outgrow. You're not living to your full self. You're rock bottom. And then once you feel that, I mean, put it in your mind that you're having a midlife crisis for so, or a mental breakdown. And you can start living your life because you don't care no more. Once you stop caring and you don't care, you're so free. You're so free. That's when the only time that you're free. The only time you're not free is when you don't check yourself and your ego and you're thinking that people are checking for you. All right, let's see what we got. All right, let's get into this. I've always done better once I checked myself. Your reality is a reflection of your reality in your mind. You could change your reality, but your reality is also shaped off of what's inside of your mind. But a lot of times we don't want to be accountable, and we don't want to, we want to, it's easy to be a victim sometimes and think about things that are outside of us, things that have nothing to do with anything. And yes, I'm still on the discussion. I'm still on topic of what we're talking about here, of things that I wish I would have done different and things that really hampered my art. For years, I had this problem in my mind. The cool thing about you guys being here right now is you like, it's cool to be in this it's cool to be in this trajectory of how we're using the projector, how we're doing art. But let me tell you, when I was starting off, it wasn't cool how we're doing art right now. This was not cool to do it like this. You would have been shunned on. Like now it's cool. Like we think nothing of it. And we're in this together with the community, right? Like we think nothing of it because I've already made so much money doing this, and it's like whatever. The proof is already there. Nobody can tell me anything. I think that's where my confidence really came from over the years. It's like, all right, I already made so much money. Like nobody can tell me anything. The proof is already in the pudding. But starting off, I couldn't talk about any of this stuff or show it or how I was doing art. It wasn't even about the projector. It's even about using references, even like, oh my God, you're using certain references? Like, like the whole mystique at that time is that everything had to be original. Like everything had to be everything had to be like recreating the wheel is what I was going to say. If not, because you're creating for other artists, and this is the thing when you're creating for other artists mentally, you already understand that these artists, they study this craft just like you study it. So when they study these crafts, they already know where you got the reference from because they see the references. Compared to a buyer, you're not creating for the buyer. See, the buyers aren't in our world. So the buyers don't know where you got that reference from. But if you pick the wrong reference, another artist will call you out and be like, well, I know where you got that reference from. You got it from this artist and that artist who actually did the thing of of 1800s of the or the 1970s, they use that type of, they know what the reference is because they study it. The collector who's buying it, they don't study it, so they don't know where you got the reference from. You need to be making it for that. Instead, you're not living your life and doing what you need to do to use your shortcuts because we're so caught up into making art for other artists. So I want to make something new that other artists haven't seen before instead of thinking about the collector. Let me know if this is let me know if this is making sense to you guys in the chats. Let me know if this is making sense to you. Leave me them likes in there if you haven't already. Let's get them likes up. So it all boils down to you care too much about other people's opinions. And that's something that's, I mean, we're human. Of course we care about what other people think, or we would just be psychopaths or sociopaths, right? Like we naturally care about what other people think of us. We naturally care about not being ostracized. We don't want to be the black sheep, even if we are the black sheep. You know, it's hurtful. We want to be liked. We want people to say that we're special. But you have to realize that it doesn't matter anyways because you can't please everybody and you're not meant to be special for everybody. There's always the truth, universal truth, and there's your truth, and you can't fit into everybody's thing. So that's why it's like being authentic is the best thing that you could do. You know, there's you're here because you're meant to be here. You're my tribe. We're our own tribe. There's things that I might say that might not be true, and that's fine. But there's three different types of truth. Not everybody's going to, they're not meant to. But once you start trying to please everybody and please everything, then you lose everything. You lose the truth. You can't please everybody. Then you start having personality disorders because you're over here trying to be multiple people. And I can't stand being around people like that who's like multiple personalities with different people who they come across. When they're around you, they're this person. When they're around other people, they pretend to be this other person. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Exactly. That's what I used to always say too when I was younger. It's very true. Blessed Art Studio says imagination is the highest form of flattery. Austin Cleon says steal like an artist. Exactly. Picasso said the same thing. Torres says yes, it is. I liked. But we're human, and it's easier said than done, right? Like it takes a special, it takes a special person to be human. It takes a special person to do what we do, especially as artists. As artists, especially like how we create art, us degenerates, us us outsiders, us renegades. We're some of the strongest minded people because other people who aren't built like this, they wouldn't mentally be able to do what we do and also deal with the type of pressure, but also maybe even having to deal with doubt, or even at times doing this. What people don't understand too, which is challenging, is it can become lonely. You have to deal with your own thoughts, and you have to be yourself because no one else is going to do the work. So a lot of it you have to deal with this on your own. And at times when we paint as artists, a lot of it is its own form of meditation of when we paint, because a lot of times we're in our own head when we're painting and we have time to do self reflect. Maybe that's why I'm so articulate and I know how to just come across and say these things because I've painted so many paintings and I've had a lot of time to do self-reflection and introspection or um, reflection and introspection, inner work. Bluegrass Picker said they made fun of Van Gogh for copying older famous paintings. He was like, these are the best lessons I could find. That's so true. Van Gogh sold one painting. I heard he didn't, I thought he didn't sell any painting until he died. But yeah, it's so true. Thank you, Jin Jin. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. So another part of me caring about what other people's opinion was at the time was me wanting to be perfect and thinking that I was really stuck in the mindset of that at this time when I'm doing eBay art, I'm thinking since I'm coming from the gallery world and I'm Corbellic, my ego's so into it, I'm thinking that I'm the best artist out there. Like I'm about to destroy the game. I'm about to just like make so much money because there's nobody who could paint better than me. I'm coming from the gallery world. I know what's the best. I'm about to just make the best art and I'm about to clean up out here because the rest of these eBay artists suck. Well, that's what I was saying to myself at the time, right? And my ego's involved. And I'm thinking that I could pull it off that way because I'm coming from the world of I'm going to do. I'm still prolific at this time. I'm still fast, but I'm nowhere near fast. I'm just fast in doing gallery artwork. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do a bunch of these Mona Lisas. And then lo and behold, I had to learn a lesson. Here I'm thinking that I do this Mona Lisas and I'm trying to be perfect, but I'm still fast. And then the market doesn't react the way that I want. The market doesn't, I'm like, what's going on with these eBay buyers? Like they don't know fine art. They don't know how great this stuff is. They don't know that I did the polar bear hairs out here. What's wrong with them? These people are dumb. And then I realized, whoa, hold on. They actually like when I'm doing landscapes. Back then, the type of art that I do now sometimes, or the type of art that I do now, I used to call it funeral home art because I used to think it looked boring, and I used to think that it wasn't like, a lot of my paintings back then it used to either be like somewhat social political or it had a meaning behind it. I used to always try to be deep, right? Everything's got to be deep. Everything's got to be a meaning and a story. And then I realized the paintings that were making the most money on eBay were funeral home paintings where it was just like impressionism, landscapes, cats, dogs. And I was like, all right, that's the lane. Now, are you going to make paintings for other artists? Because that's what you're in the mindset for, or for friends and family where they're not buying it. Or are you going to make paintings to feed your family and because that's the business of it? They don't teach business in art school because they just want you to create art. Just like a lot of art coaches don't teach you the business of art, of selling the art, they want to teach you how to create it because they don't want to talk about the business side of it. Like the business side of it is painting things that you might not be into painting originally. But like, are you like, so you want to keep, so basically y'all want to keep the image of starving artists up. Y'all must like that. So why do y'all like that? Because y'all are gatekeepers? Did I ever sell secondhand items on eBay before paintings? No, I never did. As soon as I only got into eBay. I never even wanted to do eBay. Like eBay, ugh, eBay. That's for losers. That was my mindset. Ugh, eBay. No, I never sold anything on eBay but art. But the thing that's crazy is I learned a lot about eBay from people who sold other things. I learned a lot about the algorithm from resellers. I used to be a part of I used to be part of certain reselling groups just so I could learn the algorithm and how eBay works in general. Now, I'm the only person when I'm in these groups that is selling original artwork that has my category. Everybody else has to go out and they have to do reselling, or they have to go out and try to they had sourcers that they would go out and source the materials for them, and that just seems like it sucked. And I was the only one who had my category, so I would join these groups so I could learn about the market of eBay, but also be on top of the craft of when maybe the algorithm changed or things to increase the algorithm. So that's how I really started to increase my game and learning about eBay when I first started, and because I was making a lot of mistakes my first year or two, and then I started to join groups, and then from there I was starting to be invited to eBay conferences, and yeah. Let's see here. It says eBay is awesome. I sell records and sports card. Of course, eBay's awesome. Like I'm saying my mindset back then though. I mean, shoot, eBay's saved my life. Ebay's provided for me, my family. I was able to travel the world. I have two studios, able to have two different businesses, or three different, four different, able to have investments. Only time I was able to actually have investments and invest in other things is when I did eBay. eBay has blessed me. God and eBay has blessed me. 717 says, I guess I'm lucky because the course I did teach me how to go outside the line and also how to sell. That's awesome. That's awesome because most of them don't. So that's great. Sounds like a great thing then. That is amazing. So here, by me trying to focus on being perfect, because I'm thinking that people are checking for me, at the same time, I'm not doing volume at this time. I'm not doing any volume game whatsoever. No volume game. And I'm thinking that because at this time I didn't study eBay in itself. I didn't study eBay. So I'm winging it. I'm just creating art and not understanding how any of it works whatsoever. Like everybody who's here that's in the elite, you're way better than me. In my first 2 years, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just winging it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just creating art. And then I didn't even have a consistent schedule either. Not even being consistent. Like I'm just like every other day kind of thing, and letting it go and whatever, whatever. All right, here we go right here. There's our vintage cowboy. Isn't that fun? People love it. All right, what do you think? I love it. And not having a structure is so crazy when I think back on it, or not having a volume game. Because here, what this is the thing that happens when you don't have a routine, a checklist, a volume game. You know what happens? I'm gonna tell you what happens. And 90% of you are doing this and you don't even realize it, or maybe you do realize it. What happens is you're working more. If you don't have these things, these systems in place, what's gonna happen is you're gonna work more. And here I'm working more now because I don't have a routine in place. I don't have a systems in place. I don't have a routine. I don't have how long I'm supposed to be doing the painting. I'm not even keeping myself accountable at this time with the painting. I didn't even have a timer. All right, this one we're gonna be doing another doggy. Roger Richard says, what is the prompt for something like that? You can find out what the prompt is for something like that very easily. Just go into the elite community and then type in reverse engineer, and then you'll find it. I have a whole course in there about how to reverse engineer your AI or any reference that you like. So that way you can know the AI prompt and whatever. It's very simple. The problem too, also when I first started doing AI references, it was so hard for me. I hated it. Like it would kill me. I would see these paintings I liked and I wanted to do the style, and I didn't know how to have AI do that style for me. Like AI, figure this style out for me. So I have a whole course that I created. It's very simple on how if there's a picture you like from Pinterest, if there's something you've seen out there in the museum, if there's any kind of painting that you've seen, even if it's mine, I teach you how you can look at any, and then AI will show you how to do the exact replica of that style. So that way, when you do that style, it'll actually be originally yours. Nobody can say, oh, you stole that reference from so-so, whatever. No, it's yours. It's just AI helped you recreate a different whatever. You could put it in there, whatever you want it to be, a chicken, a frog, whatever. So what I'm saying is very important before I lose track is this. And I hope I can get this point across right. By you not being accountable for your time, for you not having a system in place, a structure, a volume game, you're working harder. You're working harder. And even if you feel like you're physically not working harder, you're mentally working harder because you're saying to yourself that, oh, something's not going right, or I need to do this, I need to do that. I know you are. Don't lie to me. I've been there more than you have. So don't lie to me. I know you are. You're working harder. You're working harder either physically or mentally. And the reason why is because you're not being accountable for your time. You're not showing up with the volume. You're not working. If you work and if you actually have these things in place, like a structure in place and a routine, then you don't have to work that hard on the other days. But you always have to work harder. You always have to stay longer in the studio. Like that was me. I was staying longer in the studio and I was always like feeling like I'm painting or I have to do some type of busy work because I'm not having a structure in place. I'm not being accountable for the time. I don't have a checklist. I don't have a real system in place. That's what one of the things I always talk about is having a systems in place. If you don't have a systems in place, you're going to be working more than what you are, even if it's not physical. It could be mental. I got to do this. My numbers aren't right. I got to fix something. You're always going to be caught up into this whole thing. I got to fix something. Me, I was always working and I'm on the studio. I'm doing this because I don't have a system in place. You could be getting all of your work done plus more. I found out ways how to get my work done and more in 4 to 5 hours and be done. Or even 7 hours and be done, and 7 hours and kick butt and be done. Wake up early and you could kick butt in 7 hours. But I was spending the work that I was doing in 7 hours, the work I was spending all day doing work that would have took me 4 hours or so. Think about that. A lot of you are in that situation and you don't realize it, or you do realize it, but you're making things more complicated on yourself. Sally Mae says, do you use any paid version of AI? I pay for all of it. I pay for all the AI. But I don't use, when I first started off, I was using AI art apps. I don't use those no more. They're too slow, they're too outdated, and they only do one thing for me. I don't use those no more. I don't use AI art apps personally. If you still do, then that's fine. Like I said, you got to find your groove, find your thing. But I don't personally use those no more. I use other ones. Tori says, work smarter, not harder. Exactly. That's what I always think of. How I always think to myself, like when I'm in a funk or when I'm in some type of ugh feeling, I'm always thinking to myself, all right, you're the one to blame because you're not being smart right now. You need to channel yourself and think about how can you think about working smarter past this. It's not always about working harder. It's not always about I got to create more paintings. I got to do volume. I got to do sometimes you got to take a step back and you got to think, all right, hold on. How do I work smarter? Because there's people out there who are making more money than me and they're figuring out a way where they don't have to do this, whatever I'm doing. Or how do I utilize the time for the talent that I do have or what I have? How do I work smarter? That's how I always think of. How am I let's work smarter beyond this. And I wasn't working smarter. I was still in my gallery mind thinking that I can outsmart the system and I'm just gonna work harder, but not even harder. I'm thinking that just because I'm showing up to work, that I'm working hard. I'm working hard, honey. Don't you understand? I sketched out paintings today. I did some Mona Lisas, and they're gonna love it, or they're dumb, and it's not my fault. It's their fault. They don't know fine art. They're dumb if they want that landscape cactus or those flower paintings. Ugh, those are funeral art. Those are funeral home paintings. I won't subjugate myself to such low standards, honey. But once that paycheck hits, it's so easy. It's so easy as well too. Some of the mistakes is getting caught up in. You might have Mona Lisas that do well for a season, and then all of a sudden they don't do well, and then you have to really go outside of yourself and make ugly art, and that's okay. But sometimes you're not willing to do that because you're stuck in this whole Mona Lisa phase where, for a season, you had some collectors buy your stuff, but the stuff that they were buying was actually robbing you of your time, and that's another mistake too. Sometimes you could get caught up into an early season where people are buying some of your Mona Lisas. So then what happens is, what happens is, I'm just going to spend most of my time making Mona Lisas. And then when you spend most of your time making Mona Lisas, you're robbing yourself from the other new collectors that you could be having. Because that other collector or the reseller, they're eventually going to stop buying your stuff, or it's going to die off, or you're not even giving yourself a phase where you could be creating volume. Because what happens is when you're stuck in this Mona Lisa phase, you're robbing your time for the quality. I always look at things of probabilities and like math. Like if I could create, okay, let's just say if I sell a Mona Lisa in auction and it goes for over $100 or so, right? Then I'm the type where I say to myself, okay, but how long did that take me? Realistically, after me taking a break after I did it, maybe I gotta go to the potty after I painted it. In between, I gotta sketch it out, I gotta do it. Some of you be saying that it takes you like 20, 30 minutes to do a painting and you're lying, and really it takes you like over an hour with everything, the prep and all everything. And then you do that, okay, how much is that hour really worth? If at the worst, let's just say if I pump out 5 ugly paintings in an hour, that's 12 minutes of painting. I could do that. You could do it too. Okay. What is the math on that? Like even with combined shipping, you could come close to that anyways by just doing that. You have a higher probability of doing that. And that's at the worst case scenario, right? So while you could spend an hour on that Mona Lisa prepping and doing everything else and getting that thing, and then you spent that hour, or you can pump out 5 of them and you have more of a lottery ticket. I talk about the lottery ticket all the time, but sometimes you're forgetting that I talk about the lottery ticket effect. You forget that part. The lottery ticket effect is everything. It's so important because you have a higher probability of a chance. I have a higher probability of a chance if I'm doing 5 of those in an hour that 2 of those paintings are going to sell for $40, $50. And the other one's fine. Okay. At worst, they sold for 99 cents. Or they sold for $5 or $10, but even still on that combined order by me doing those 5 paintings, I might have made 150, 100 after shipping, like 130 to $150. That's how I look at it. I have to look at it that way because these are the situations that I live through. Or I could put all of my lottery ticket on me making that one painting, that one Mona Lisa, that realistically, after I sketched it out, after I did all the references, after I did all the drawing, after all of that, it took me close to an hour for that one painting. And then the painting sold for what? How much did it sell for on auction? What? 40, 50, 60? That's not worth it. When you could just be doing the volume and creating multiple ugly ones that are smaller pieces, and it's practically free for us to do shipping. How I show inside the community how we do the shipping inside of the boxes that we get for free, and the poly bags are 17 cents each, so that's free shipping. Or you could spend all your lottery ticket onto that one painting, and you get caught in that mindset because for a quick cycle of the season, you had a reseller or you had a collector who was buying that one, but then their pallet's going to get dry for it, and you just lost out on other ample opportunities where you could have been having these other collectors out there who wanted to buy that artwork or who wanted to buy a different type of artwork. See, my mind was messed up. And I was trying to feed some of these people at time. Oh, they want the Corbelic Mona Lisas, and I would be only have enough time to feed them one or two. But at the same time, I'm missing out on so many other collectors who wanted the funeral home music or funeral home art that was oceanscapes, landscapes, flowers, a doggy, you know. Verdant Garden says, "Laugh out loud. It does seem like artists live in their egos without even knowing it. Of course, it is. It's normal. I mean, we're artists for a reason because we're so into our ego, but also we're sensitive. We're sensitive beings. We're sensitive. That's what usually that's like the first. Usually that's the first memory of being an artist when you're a child. Mommy, look at my artwork. Please hang it up on the refrigerator and love me, mommy. Tell me it's great, mommy. I want to hang it right on the refrigerator." So I always say that to myself. Those are the things that I mean. If I could go back in time, I would focus on the volume game because it's the lottery ticket. and I would have been cleaning up house. I would have been making so much money. I lost money, so much money, not just I lost so much money because my ego has been so caught up in the way. And this is the thing too. Us as artists, or even if you're part of this program, it's really easy for Corbellic to say, don't have your ego get involved. Don't have your ego get involved, right? But I'm guilty of it too, where it's like you'll hear it and maybe you'll go through a cycle where you don't have your ego get involved. But then all of a sudden you get through a season where your art starts selling and selling and selling. Naturally, you're going to start feeling yourself, and then your ego is going to start getting involved again because you're human. And then once your ego starts getting involved again, how you create art psychologically is a little bit different, and you start trying to go back into these Mona Lisa things again. Well, maybe I am a gallery artist, and then what happens is you get humbled again. There's certain I always like when I see a lot of times you have to go through the fire, and you have to go through your own fire. And even though I coach you, right? I can't coach you away from the fire. Just like an NFL coach or a boxing coach can't coach you out of not getting taking a punch to the head, right? Or an NFL coach can't coach you out of not getting tackled. Or, you know, an NBA coach can't coach you out of not getting a foul. And a lot of times I like seeing from the distance because I see everything. I like seeing from the distance certain artists who they get humbled and they take their punches. And then they got to figure out from there how to pivot and how to get back on your feet. Do you go back to the principles of what Corbellic taught you on your baseline and then go from there? Or where do you go from there? Where do you go from there with your ego? Let me know if this is making sense. Leave me some comments in here. 717 Best says, I love all the paintings in the community. It's infused with your energy. Thank you. I love all the artwork as well too in there. Such great energy as well, right? Such beautiful artwork. So yet when I'm doing this stuff, I didn't have no checklist, nothing of a structure, and just thinking that winging it was as good as it is. I'm just gonna wing it and it's gonna happen. You know, that's just like a bodybuilder, right? A bodybuilder, they got buff. If you ever seen a huge bodybuilder or somebody who's buff, hey, how did you get buff? They said, I don't know. I just winged it. I didn't have a checklist. Those guys, those guys are obsessed with their whole plan and their whole checklist. They count macros and calories and which pills to take in the morning time. What's their program going to be? It's the same way how you have to be when it comes to your success. And when it comes to selling art on eBay, you have to have these things. You can't know where you're going if you don't have a map. I didn't have a map. I was winging it. And by the grace of God, I was still able to figure it out. And the only reason I stayed in the game and I figured out because there was no plan B for me. There is no going backwards. I didn't have no backwards. A lot of times the problem is when I see that people can't, and it's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. But when people usually can't succeed in selling art on eBay, how we do, it's because you have too many plan Bs. You have a backup plan. You have a backup plan. You like your coworkers. You like going out to lunch with them. You like hearing them stories. It's safer that way. It's safer. You're like, "Ah, it's not for me. I'm going to go back to my job. They were right about me. These are pipe dreams. I don't want to be a starving artist. They were right. I can't wait to go back to I can't wait to go back to work tomorrow so I don't have to think about being responsible and doing art. And this is challenging. You have a plan B. You have something to fall back on. We don't have no like the ones who are successful don't have a ship to a ship to go back to. We burn the ships. So I had to figure it out. And thank God I did. I figured it out with creating a checklist and having systems in place. Now, the story that I always tell you about when I say that I had to fire myself, these are like some of the original stories of how I fired myself because I didn't have a checklist. And Corbellic's ego got in the way where I started to feel my where I was feeling myself because at this time I had quit my corporate job. And I'm like, I quit my corporate job because I was noticing that I was making more money. I was almost, it was getting to a point where I was making more money in a week than I was like in a month at my corporate job. I was like, what? I'm not going to stay there because the whole time when I'm at my corporate job, I can't even focus on the job. The whole time I'm thinking at the time, like, I could be painting and making this amount of money. I could be doing this for myself. The whole time I'm there, my skin is itching. My skin is itching. I need to paint. I need to be in the studio. Microphone. Oh, hell. Sorry about that. Hold on. There it is. Looking for the magnet. But the whole time my skin is itching because I'm like, I need to be I need to be in the studio. Here I am dealing with the broke normie losers in this corporate America crap that has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't have to do with me. And I need to be in the studio. I could be painting. Okay, fine. So I quit corporate America, right? Because this is what I want. I'm going to be dedicated. And then I go to the studio and I'm working for myself. The money's flowing in. I'm like, you know what? I make my own schedule. I could do what I want to do. I could do. And then Corbellic Studios, I'm coming in late. He's looking at the clock. He's like looking at me like, huh, you're slacking off on your job. You said you wanted this, huh? You said you wanted this. You don't have a checklist. You don't have a time that you're showing up. You don't have how many that you're actually producing every day. Shit. Some days you're even missing a day. Some days you might even be missing a day. What are you doing? And then he fired me. And then I came back to Corbellic Studios and I'm like, I apologize. I promise I'll do things right here. Look at my game plan. This is what I'm going to do different if you take me back, boss. He's like, I'll think about it. And to be honest with you, when I was starting off, I'm going to be honest with you about something. When I was starting off, there was times, right, where I didn't understand eBay. Like I said, I didn't understand eBay. I didn't have a community. I didn't have what the structures and the metrics and the guidelines and things with the follow and how to ship on. I thought shipping on time and just I ship when I want to. Can you believe that? My mindset used to be like, I'll ship when I want to. Nobody's recording it. And I didn't even realize that there was a metrics that was being recorded on it and how the sales were being affected by it. My sales were being affected, and I didn't understand where it was coming from. I thought like, oh, it was the art or something. Not knowing that it's because I wasn't following certain metrics and I wasn't doing things on time. So I had a time, I think I've had a couple times where eBay fired me. And I had to go to eBay and beg for my job back on the metrics. I'll do better on the metrics, I promise. And I'll work hard out of it. I had to work myself out of the mud out of certain metrics. I had to work myself out of the mud on certain metrics where there was months that I would go with low sales, but it was better that I was in the game because as long as I knew I worked myself out of the metrics, I worked myself like above standard and then top rated, then everything was going to be good again. And I did that. I paid the blood back where it was like I needed to pay the blood back because I wasn't taking myself serious and I was being too arrogant. And it happens that way. So that's why I say sometimes you get caught, you get so used to being an employee that you have to hire yourself. But at the time, I was so arrogant, I thought that I was the boss. I'm the boss. I make my own hours. I'm the boss. I do what I want. No, you don't do what you want. When you work for yourself, it's even more difficult than working for a company. People who work for a company, it's easy for them. Like, come on, I worked in corporate America for all these years. You ain't doing nothing. You're not doing anything difficult. You're not doing anything special. The thing that's most difficult when you work to a corporate America is the commute there and the psychological effect on the bureaucracy that you play. The whole politics, the whole dumb reports of things that don't matter, those type of things. But the actual report and all that, like there was actual study that's done. You like when you're in corporate America, you're only actually like really focused in and you're only working what 4 hours out of the day or so. You're only really working 4 hours out of the day. The hard stuff is mentally you just being there. That's what's hard. But when you work for yourself, you actually have to show up to work. Like I can't fake this. In corporate America, I can fake if I'm working or not. You can't fake working when you're doing eBay. These are the lessons I'm learning. These are the lessons that I had to learn. It's all in the same context. Stay with me. I can fake it in corporate America. I can't fake it when I show up here to the studio if I'm doing a painting or not, or if I'm faster, or if I'm figuring out a way to get outside of my ego. But I'm so used to the mindset that maybe I could fake it. Maybe I could do shipping when I want to. I could fake it and I never forget there was this one time that what really kind of drove things clear for me, and this is when I first started. I had this collector and he sent me a message and he was like, "Is there a reason that my package is like late?" Or something like that, right? And I tried to spin it like, well, I think it was the time during COVID. So I tried to spin it and was like, oh well, actually, yeah, someone in my family they got the sniffles really bad, and yeah, they've been coughing and sneezing, it's and he was like, no, I mean, is there really a reason why? He's like, that's or something. And I just remember and it made me take it more serious. Like, dude, this is your job. This is something that you said that you wanted, and this is an opportunity for you. And here you are, you're BSing. Why? If you feel like that, then just go back to corporate America if you want to BS it. You don't want to do the work, then just then go back to corporate America and do their work. But don't BS it. Like it's not going to kill you to do what you're supposed to be doing. Like I said, I was being a degenerate, and eBay didn't know if I was a degenerate or not, and they have good reasons not to know. And because I was being a degenerate, and it just made me take it serious. Like sometimes you're so caught up into being an employer for so many years of your life, it's hard to reflect that you're a business owner now. This is your business. There is no manager at eBay who's going to come by your desk to make sure that you've done your work, that you've done your paintings. You need to be the one to do that. This is your business. If not, then just go back to corporate America and say, make up lies of why you couldn't hack it and why you couldn't do it. When I first started, this my channel on here, it was really to push the coaching and push the community to bring awareness to it. But the thing that I really stressed is that this only works for people. This only works for people who've had enough. And look at this painting. Quick doggy. What do you think of our doggy? Our doggy. There's our doggy. Who's had enough of either the selling game with the galleries, who's had enough of your job. Like you're at that thresh point where you feel like you're either close to a mental breakdown, you're so tired of it. Like I'll do anything else. I'll push mountains to accomplish my goals. Those are the people that succeed. Those are the people who I've always wanted to speak to. Those are my tribe. I'm not judging you if you're not at that point. That's the thing that I've always said, is that if you're not at that point, then I can't push you to that point of your life. I don't know what your circumstances were. That's why I always make videos and I always talk about you have to have strong whys. Why you're doing what you're doing, because that's the only thing that's going to push you past success. That's the thing that's going to remind you of what your goal is and why it's bigger than you. It needs to be bigger than you. If not, us as humans, you're working against something that's more powerful than you, and that's your brain. And your brain is going to come up with excuses, or your brain is going to have enough reasons to say, you know what, you're not good enough, and it's just easy for you to go back to work. Just go back to your cubicle. That's where you're good at. Don't you miss your cubicle? Don't you miss Sally, where you just have lunch dates with her and you can hear about how her cat Fifi is? Don't you miss that? If you're not at that point, I can't knock you for that. But my journey is not your journey. But there's plenty of people whose journey is like that, and they resonate with it. So I had to not only did I fire myself from corporate America, so I knew I couldn't go back. I also had to have situations where eBay fired me because I wasn't being serious about it, and I had to check myself. And then I fired myself after that too, for being fired from eBay, where I had to check myself. And I prayed to God, like, God, if you just give me this opportunity again, I promise to you, I promise. Because not everybody gets this opportunity. Like, you have a great opportunity where only thing you're doing is creating art, and you can change your life. You could bring things back to your family. And yet you want to squander the opportunity that most people can't have. Why would I? Like, why? This is something that I prayed for when I was in corporate America for years, praying for this opportunity, or not even this opportunity, because I didn't know that I wanted to be an artist, or that I wanted to do that. But then when it came to me, and it's like, whoa, I got an opportunity to just create art and do it on eBay and make a living. And here I'm and then it hit me, the psychology. Whoa, I'm self-sabotaging myself. Why am I doing this? Why am I self-sabotaging myself? I don't know. I don't have an answer, because we're crazy. We're self-sabotaging ourselves because we're so used to everything not working out for us, so we don't believe it when things are going good. Everything needs to be more difficult. All right, let me dry off this black a little bit, and let's get to some comments. Hey, Joy from Ontario, Canada. I know it's freezing cold up there. AZ Lady says, I do not miss cubicle land. I agree. AZ Lady says, I never seem to fit into my workplaces. I'm not into gossip and politics. I used to be naive about how to get ahead. I actually believed if you showed up, if you were great at work, you succeed. Nope. Exactly. Nope. It's not about that. Sharon says, you can't fake it when you're working for yourself. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing too about corporate America is that it's not about how hard you work and when you show up and all that. Usually it's just about politics. And it's about if you're in the right circles or if you go out to lunch with them every day. Like I was the type where I couldn't fake it. I don't want to go to like my break, my lunchtime is for me to mentally reset from me sitting in this cubicle and you robbing the hours from me. So that time, I always spent time of that hour of lunch break. I spent it in the car taking a nap. I would take naps at my lunchtime. And I don't want to spend an hour with you talking about dumb stuff that don't matter. Those are the people who I always realize that they worked them way they got promoted. And then when you get promoted, you don't even get a real promotion. The promotion is that you get promoted to do more work. Okay. You get promoted to spend less time with your family. Okay. You get promoted to when it's 5 p.m. that you can't even leave yet. All right. You left too early. Like you're if it's 5 p.m., you can't leave. That's what you got promoted to. And me being an adult, I hate the feeling where it's like, even if like these jobs where it's like I didn't have a particular time I had to start or like, but you do have to particularly you do have to kind of start at like 8, 9 or whatever. And I don't like the feeling where like I got to check in. Like I know I have to check in at my job in the studio. I'd rather be here early and I'm checking into myself to Corbellic Studio. But I hate having to check into another adult. Or if there's a vacation time, like I hate feeling like, hey boss, can I get a vacation? Um, I see that I got PT. Like you see, you got time off PTO or whatever, and you got to act. You have to ask someone, "Hey, can I do?" Can it's dehumanizing. All right. Certain people do well in those environments, but not me. I just couldn't. And maybe that's why I'm unemployable. Maybe that's why I had 77 different jobs, right? Oh well. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Like anyone who tries to frown on that, it's like you're probably a different mindset. Like anybody who tries to frown on that is whatever. I mean, that's your thing. Because the thing is, I more than likely I probably made more money in corporate America than most people. Because the only way that you're going to get a real promotion, only way that you're going to get a real promotion and a real raise is if you get a new job. If you get a promotion with your company, they're going to give you a 5, maybe 10%. 10%, please, you ain't getting that on a raise or something, right? But the only way to get a real raise is you get a new job. So I learned that early. That's why I had so many different jobs because I always got a promotion. I mean, you're only going to get paid more when you work for a new company. People be staying at the same company. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. 717 Best says I was unemployable too. I lost counting over 30 jobs, right? And then society tries to frown on you about that too. Like they get brownie points for staying like they get brownie points for staying a corporate slave. There's nothing cool about that. Oh my God, you had so many jobs? Sure did. You can't tell me anything now. Like I ran my own business for a while. There was a small part that I thought that was embarrassing to talk about. Maybe I thought it was embarrassing to talk about because I didn't have a business yet, right? Like now for me, it's like I don't care. But maybe when I was in corporate America, it's kind of like a black guy to talk about because you're still trying to like work in corporate America. Like if you're trying to work in corporate America and you're bouncing around from job to job, that looks like a bad thing. Like that doesn't look good. Like you're trying to get another job in corporate America and you're telling your like if you're telling your friends and family, yeah, I've had 77 jobs. That doesn't look good because you're still like, all right, well, you need to try to start a business then, because obviously that ain't working for you. That's not working for you. You're an idiot. I was fired from Walt Disney as well. I was fired from Walt Disney. I don't know why. I don't even care. I don't know. It was a horrible company too. And the people who worked there were super kiss behind. They were super like kissy. I worked for Disney in Buena Vista, Burbank. I was doing procurement finance there. And then even though you like we could say stuff like that, oh, it was procurement finance. But usually most of these jobs, you're not doing anything. You're doing data entry crap. They just give it a fancy name. You're just doing like ad hoc reports off of Excel or um, stuff like that. Like most of these people who are in these cubicle jobs, most of these people who have these manager, director type positions and whatever, you know what they are? They are professional data entry. That's all it is. And AI could do that stuff now. So it's like anybody who keeps these jobs, they only keep you there to be a slave or they feel guilty about you or you're a loser. I'm sorry. I know I can't say that. I'm sorry, but it is. Idiots unite. You couldn't pay me to go back. You couldn't pay me. So when I keep these things in my mindset, right? Because I've been through it, and maybe people haven't gone through it, or maybe they're so comfortable. A lot of times people are so scared. They're so scared. It sounds so scary out there to start my own company and work for myself. It's so scary. What's going to happen? What if I lose my benefit cards where I get 30% off at TGIF Fridays? What am I going to do? What is my family going to think of me? I went to college so I could get a 30% off Shoe Warehouse gift card. What am I going to do? I don't want my family to look at me awful. They know that I went to school so I could be a data entry clerk. Your family thinking that you're going to work and you're doing something important. You ain't doing nothing important. You're over there punching in numbers on the computer. Stop lying. We all know it. You know it too. You're not doing anything important. It's your job. And you're not making any real money. The money that you were making 5, 6 years ago, like I don't even know how people in regular jobs do it, right? Because for me, for example, I could always change how much money I'm making. Any day, any week, I could always fluctuate it. I could always have control over the dollar amount that's coming in for me. If you work at corporate America, you don't have no control of how much of your paycheck is. Your paycheck always stays the same. And if you haven't got promoted over these past years like that and you're at the same company, think about how much inflation is already ate. So really you're making less money. You're making less money because inflation, they lied, it really went to like 20%. And then the groceries even cost less than that. So, or more than that with the gas and with your electric bill. So you're still having the same pay rate that's static from 4 to 5, 6 years ago. But during that time, they printed so much money that your dollar doesn't even cost the same. So it's more riskier for you to stay at that job than for you to just work for yourself. And you could always increase that dollar amount. You could always reach into the bank for yourself. I don't get it. But like I said yesterday, you can't you can't force a horse to drink um goat's milk or whatever, right? One of the things I had to learn in my life to give me sanity is you can't save everybody. Don't try to save everybody because then you're going to be the crazy one in the end, like looking stupid. You're over here trying to save people. Like either you take my advice or don't. Can't save everybody. But then when you're ready to be saved, I'll be here for you. I always say that I'll be here. Also, if you're not already part of the elite community, or even if you are part of the elite community, I'm running a promo right now that's only going to last until the end of this week on Saturday, where if you buy the annual for the year on the VIP, then I'm going to ship you a free projector. I'm going to send it right out to you the next day. So, and it's the same projector that I use with the poppy colors. So it's only going to last until the end of this week on Saturday. If you're already on the monthly, but you want to get the yearly, you could do that. You could upgrade. I'll send you the projector. If you want to send it to a friend, you could do that as well. Or you could share it to a friend to have them come over, and you could do that. But if you're not already part of the elite, then yeah, get the annual VIP this week, and then I'm gonna send you a free projector. And that's not some, oh, let me go pick from a hat out of 1,000 people who do it, and let me go. No, that means everybody, anybody, everybody, anybody that purchases is the annual VIP until this Saturday, the 7th. I'm gonna send you a projector. Boom. Let's see what you think about that. Because that's how much I know and I believe in my program and the things that I talk about to help people. That's how much I'm out here trying to help people. And that's how much I believe in you. There's no coach that does anything like that. You got all these other coaches out here talking about they want you to spend thousands of dollars on your own Facebook ads, which is understandable, but then that's the whole business metric and then that's it. Well, I'm going to teach you and show you how to spend money on Facebook ads. Like you could do that for free. Jada Hunter says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. I know. I like the goat milk one better. I thought that was funny. But you get what I'm saying, right? Of course, right? Of course, right. That's life. Sometimes we stress ourselves out trying to make other people view our views or our facts or whatever. And what I've learned in life, if you want people, the fastest way to make people understand your point of view or whatever the fact is of something is to don't present it to them. In time, God will present it to them when they're alone in the mirror. They have no choice. And then they'll be more upset about it that they have to force it in the mirror. A lot of times people are just so humans are so adamant of being stubborn. So a lot of times when you try to force things and say things, people will stay in the dark for as long as you want to be someone to try to force the light onto them, you know? But sometimes they'll notice that you're not trying to force a light onto them no more. So then they're upset that you're not even giving them the attention. Don't you want to talk about this with me anymore? You ever have some people in your life who want to talk about politics with you or something? And then have you ever noticed they get upset if you don't want to talk about politics with them? Or if you don't even bring it up? Like all of a sudden they'll be like, they get off, they feed off the attention of it. Like, aren't you upset? No, not really. I'm not thinking about that. How's the weather? They get so upset. And then you do that enough with certain people, no matter what the thing is, eventually in God's timing, it always has to be in their timing. Then they'll always have they'll have to look back into the mirror and be like, oh, I'm the baddie. I'm the baddie. I'm the problem here. I'm the jerk because I'm trying to be a jerk to this person so they can match my energy, but they're not even reacting towards my energy no more. And I'm upset that they're not reacting to my energy. How come they don't care? Because there's other things that go on. I mean, whenever that's in due your time. So that's something to work on. When trying to save people or whatever it is, don't try to do it. Don't. That's your ego. And by you doing that with your ego too, it also means that you're not evolving and you're at the same playing field. If you honestly believe in whatever you're saying, then you don't need to talk about it because God will present it and they'll present it to them in their timing in the mirror alone. All right. Woo! Lee says her phone is going off right now with a bidding war. You understand? You understand what we're talking about around here? Bidding wars. You see that? Lee's phone's going off with bidding wars right now. While we're out here spreading the good word, it's out here morning time. Her phone's blowing up. If you're not part of the elite community already, you're missing out. It's all about being consistent. It's all about showing up. It's all about having a structure in place. And then you're going to be getting these bidding wars popping off. Also, it's about having the frequency of your mindset, right? That's what I'm talking about. I know that feels good. Look, let me tell you something. You know the first $100,000 is the most difficult to make. You know why? Because you don't believe it's possible. And then once you make $100,000 and you know it's possible, and you know it's possible from eBay, then you can make more of it. You can start making 200,000, 300,000 because you know what you have to do. You know the structure in place to how to flip it, your mindset believes it. Once I made my first 100,000, and I never thought that I was going to get that, especially from eBay. But once I did it, everything became so easy. And but also you get motivated to your frequency is higher. Your frequency is in abundance. Your frequency is not in scarcity. Because once you're in scarcity, scared money makes no money. Like that's why losers shouldn't gamble. Because their attitude is of being a loser when they're in the casino. And regardless of what they do anyways, their spirit is already low. Half glass empty. But when your spirit is higher and your frequency is higher and you believe it and you know it, it's easier to have the adrenaline to wake up early in the morning. It's easier to stay on path. It's easier to stay focused on what you're doing because it's $100,000. It becomes like water. It becomes like nothing. Look, when I tell people that I made over $1 million selling art on eBay, like I've been doing this for 7 years. Like that's not a big thing. You can too. Like most people stay at their jobs and over that course they've made $1 million or so. It's not a big thing. You'll be able to easily do it. Let's go, Lee. Let's go. If you're not already part of the elite community, click the link. It's in the chat. It's pinned to the top. All right, I'm done with this one. I wasted enough time. This is really a simple painting. I know Christmas season's over with. What are you telling me that for? People still love snow, man. Like people buy Christmas stuff all year long. There's even a store in Tampa, Florida, where all they do is sell Christmas stuff all year long. So if you ever want to make Christmas stuff or whatever, you always make Christmas stuff because people buy Christmas stuff all year long. All right. So there's our snowman right there. Really cute, really simple. Let's go on to the next one. Now, another thing that was killing my store when I was doing eBay, or when I first started doing eBay, is the fear of losing money. And that's a funny segue because we just got done talking about the abundance and the frequency of scared money makes no money. All right, scared money makes no money. I mean, you can relay that message however you want to do it, but scared money don't make no money. Fear of losing money. I used to so I used to lose money by being scared of losing money. So a lot of times we get caught up into making these Mona Lisas and making things like they have to be so beautiful, they have to be this, they have to be that. Is because we're in a mindset of scarcity where we don't we we don't want to waste and we have nots, you know. So for example, I'm like, maybe I didn't do my inventory right, where I didn't order my canvases on time, or maybe I didn't have or maybe just in the mindset of being like when I started off to be like I didn't want to give things away, and I need to make sure that everything sells for a dollar amount. Now here's the kicker, right? How eBay works. Even if you're the best reseller, even if you're the best artist, I mean, we could have Michelangelo, we could have Leonardo da Vinci, we could have Picasso, even if they were selling on eBay, right? You can't make sure that every single painting is going to sell for $200, $1,000. It's just not going to happen. In order for you to make the bucks, you got to sell some zeros. All right. And we're not even talking about zeros, because if you're a part of the elite community, anyways, even if you do sell a painting that's 99 cents, a dollar, $2, you're still making a profit. All right. Maybe it's not the big profit of what you want. And the only reason why you're caught up in that big profit is because you spent too much time on the painting. I told you not to spend too much time on that painting, anyways. So I don't even know why you're getting upset or why you're worried about this small profit. You're still making a profit. I set up the system in place where you still make a profit off of each painting regardless, but don't get caught up into it. You're caught up into it because you're over there spending too much time on the painting, but whatever. So here, even if you're Picasso, whatever, and you still got to sell some duds out there in order for the combined order or for people to come to the store to buy the bigger ones. The bigger ones are only getting sold because you're selling some ones that are going to be on the lower tiers, you know? And you build up your snowball conversion after you've been doing this for a while. Look, Lee hasn't even been painting for a while. I don't even think she's been painting at all. She got into the game and now her phone is blowing up with bids. Now imagine she's doing this consistently and it's been a year and that's still early in the game. It's 2 years. That's still somewhat early in the game. Imagine how big her phone's going to be blowing up then. You think she's going to be selling 99 cents work in 2 years? No, she's not. No, she's not. It doesn't work that way. You've got to build yourself up. But here in my mind, I'm having a fear of losing money, and every painting's got to be a Mona Lisa. Don't you understand? It has to be like you're not going to have where every painting's going to sell for $100, $200. It's not going to happen. And I'm not understanding the game where you're going to have to lose some money in order to gain the money. It doesn't matter who it is that's painting it. 717 Best says, does people from Europe buy art? Yeah, they buy a lot of art. I love my collectors from Europe because usually they spend more money. The ones in Europe, they like to spend more money and they're okay with the shipping charge. So I love them. They're great. They're great buyers. But that's something that I didn't have no concept of. That's something that I didn't have no concept of. So that's why I always talk about the lottery ticket and have more probabilities. Have more probabilities out there, because the thing is, it doesn't matter if you're the best damn artist in the world. It doesn't matter if Jesus Christ was up here painting these paintings. He's still going to have some paintings that are going to sell for a low dollar amount, or $5, $10, or depending on how long he's been doing it. And then in order for him to do that, in order for him to sell the $200 paintings, the $100 paintings, which is the bigger numbers, and you could be more consistent with those, especially if you're pumping them out, then you have to have some that's at that. But me and my mindset, I was so caught up into the fear of losing money, I didn't understand the game. I was thinking that every painting that I produced, they all had to sell for $200, even on auction, every single one. And if they didn't, then I had an unsuccessful day, not understanding the bigger picture because I'm day trading the numbers. If I would have gone back, and then there's times where that happens, and then you get caught up into your head. I'm getting caught up into my head thinking that either my art sucks or nobody wants that theme that I just painted. Oh, that was a bad data point. Like I'm making all these like illogical things in my own head. Like your head could be your worst enemy. Thinking all this stuff that's not even true. But I don't know that because I don't have a community, and I don't have another artist who's hustling like I'm hustling on eBay who I could bounce these ideas off of and talk to about it. And that's when the ego starts getting in the way. Because when I first started doing eBay, right? I'm happy. I'm happy when I'm just selling stuff that was 99 cents or whatever. It didn't matter because I was happy that I was getting art out the door and I'm actually gaining my own collectors. But then all of a sudden I'm getting caught up into the ego, and I'm like, I'm Corbellic. All of my art has to sell at this price point. Don't you understand? Or I'm having a bad night. And if I'm having a bad night, then you know what? I'm not showing up to work tomorrow. And then Corbellic Studio, he's looking at me like, what you mean you're not showing up to work tomorrow? Well, I'm having a bad night. They don't appreciate that all of my stuff, how long I spent, they're Mona Lisas, and they need to pay $200 for each one of them. In order for me to have the smaller paintings, like I could do 14 by, that's why I like doing 14 by 11s, and I also like doing 12 by 16s, because I can make those sell for even more than a 16 by 20 as long as I'm being consistent. And I have a higher probability rate of me pumping out the 14 by 14s and the 16 by or 12 by 16s and pumping these lottery tickets out in order for me to sell the higher, unless for the combined orders. When the combined orders hit, then it's like the combined order will hit for $200, 180. That's usually the math of what it is. Inside the community, when we have either in some of the lessons or we have like the Q&A, I show like the recent sales that I have, and I show you that's what they land at. They usually land at that, and that's because of the combined shipping rule. It's not because I'm thinking about the Mona Lisa, and they're small pieces, they're small paintings. Now on the combined shipping that I can't control, some of them might actually land where they sold for a low dollar amount, but then the other ones that might be just as equal as ugly or the same amount of ugly, sold for some reason, it sold for $50, $60, and it's a 12 by 9. Ugly impressionism, landscape, funeral home art. Now, of course, I'm just making fun right now. I'm just making a story. No art is ugly. It's all subjective. It's all beautiful. Mother loves you. It's on the refrigerator. But you get what I mean. But here I'm caught back into my ego again because it's easy for it to happen. Once you start doing well, I'm doing well though. My story's doing well. Don't they understand I'm Corbellic? Then your ego starts getting involved. You think you're creating all Mona Lisas. Oh, we got one. We got one. We got one, you guys. We got one. I think we this is when you're starting to do well. We finally got one in here. Maybe I need a moderator. And there was that fear, but then you start getting into your own head about it on things that you can't control. So then this is a great segue. When those fears happen or certain things start happening, right? You know what starts happening? Because you don't have a structure in place either. And you're feeling off, oh, your ego's involved, it's bruised. So then I start taking breaks. Uh I know it sounds impossible to you guys because you're part because like most of you here are in the elite community, and that's not what we talk about at all. Like that's not even like in our vocabulary. But I didn't have a community, I didn't have a structure. I was out here taking breaks. And I was taking breaks where I'm not talking about like a 15-minute break after our 90-minute, because I didn't even have the 90-minute back then. Or I'm talking about I was out here taking breaks like I'm not working tomorrow type of break. But me in my mind, I'm thinking that I understood eBay at this time, and eBay's just lucky to have me. And when I'm taking the break, I'm thinking that I could bounce back into the game because I'm not understanding the analogy that we always talk about pumping the well for water, right? You pump the well for water, pump the well for water. The water comes, you got to keep pumping the well for water. You can't miss a day. You can't take a break because then the water is going to go back into the well. And then when it goes back into the well, you're like, oh, it's not working for me no more. And here I would take breaks, right? And sometimes I'm talking about I would take like not even a day break. I would take like 3 days breaks and then say the system doesn't work no more after that, or not understanding of what's going on. Here I'm over here taking breaks because I'm thinking that my ego's so involved, I'm so prolific, I'm Corbellic, that as soon as I get back into the game, I'll just be able to bounce back and everybody's going to be so happy to see me and they're going to buy my artwork. And I had to learn the hard way. This is another one of them times that the Corbellic Industries, Corbellic Studios had to fire me because he's like, oh, for real? You feel like that you could take breaks? This is something you said you wanted, and now you're over here taking breaks? There is no breaks. It's kind of like that the Rocky movie, right? Where Apollo's always like, there is no tomorrow. Rocky's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not feeling it today. Can we do it tomorrow? And Apollo's like, there is no tomorrow. I had to put myself in that mindset because there is no tomorrow. The things that you were successful off of today, off of eBay, I didn't understand either. You can't rest on your laurels. So there was times where maybe I had a successful auction night. I would take a break the next day because I feel like I deserve it. And instead, you need to be more in the mindset of being like, it never happened. And then you could really make money as long as you're in the mindset that it didn't even happen. If you have a successful day or a successful auction, if you have a successful moment where um if you have a successful moment, you got a commission. You had a successful auction night. You had a successful buy it now. Trust me, put it in your mind that it never happened. That way you keep grinding hard and you keep working like it never happened. Because It's not good to rest on your laurels, because what happens is you got to go back to zero. The only reason that you were able to get that successful auction, that successful buy it now, that successful commission, is because you've been consistent and you've been working it. But then once you rest on your laurels and then you're like, well, I don't have to work no more, I don't have to show up, then you'll lose it. And that's life too. I think tomorrow my stream is going to be about life lessons that eBay taught me about life, and even how to be better at life, and how to be better in business in general, because eBay has taught me so much about life. And I don't want to talk too much about it right now to give it away, but a lot of these things are kind of the same principles. AZ Lady says, I'm not only unemployable, I'm uncubicle. This is the first club I have ever been in that I feel like I'm really supposed to be here. That's amazing to hear. And that's what I always say too. I always say that some people go, I'm glad that I found you, or that I found the group. And I'm like, you didn't find me. We found each other. I found you. We found each other. We were supposed to be here at the perfect time in our life. God brought us together to be here at the right moment in our life. We were meant to be here together. All of us were. This is a very special time. I believe, I know in my heart that we are in a very special time in history where there's so many different things happening. There's also the greatest wealth transfer that we're going to all be a part of. There's so many different things where in history we were meant to be here in this enlightened time together. I mean, we could all practically be ascending into like 5D, you know. Another thing that another thing that was killing me, and I didn't even know it for years. I'm talking, I've been doing eBay for years until I hit to this point, was the 90-minute rule. For years, I didn't work with a timer. And then when I did work with a timer, there was years after that where I didn't even create the 90-minute rule. I would just have the timer record how long it was taking me to do each painting. But I didn't even record like how long it should be taking me or how long I'm pushing myself, because that's the whole purpose, is like pushing yourself, because that's how you get better. And I wasn't pushing myself on how long it was. So here what happens, you understand, you know, as a painter, you'll be painting and paint can always just keep going and going and going. So when you're painting, like an hour could go by, 2 hours might even go by in here in your mind. If you're not being accountable for the time, you'll be thinking that, oh, well, it's only been 30 minutes. I'm doing good. I'm working fast. You ever feel like you've been working fast on a project and then time, like you don't even know what the time is? And then 2 hours, like, and then that's not good, because even though you might feel good about the process, you lost that time. And during that time is money in our industry. But it's also how you get better and how you're accountable. If not, you'll be working more hours in the day. So there was times where I felt like time was getting away from me. I was working more. And the reason why is because I wasn't being accountable with my time. Maybe there was times where I was recording myself, but I wasn't recording myself to get better with the time. Of finishing each project faster. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, CERN in Switzerland must have opened up a time portal, or the world must have ended in 2012 and they didn't tell me about it, because all of a sudden all this time is just escaping me. Why is it escaping me? Because I wasn't being accountable for my time. Here I'm looking at the clock go down off of each painting, right? But I'm not. And this is the thing too, why two timers is important. The two timers is important because you have one that's cooking off on the 90 minutes. So that's going off regardless. And then you have the other one that's cooking off how long it's taking you to do each painting. The reason that I do it that way is because if you only have one timer going off, like let's just say you did a painting in 12 to 15 minutes. Some artists, they step away for a little bit, they check the references on the computer, or they go to the bathroom, or they eat chips or something like that. So by the time they get on to the next painting, which is painting number 2, where did it lie at in your 90-minute gaps? Because I want the 90 minutes still cooking. But if you don't cook it, when you did your first painting, how much time escaped you between your first painting and your second one that you're working on? It might have been 30 minutes that went by and you don't even know it, but you think that you're doing good because your first painting only took you 12 to 15 minutes. Ooh, my first painting took me 12 to 15 minutes. Yeah, but it took you 30 minutes or so to get onto the second one. So how much time did you take? It doesn't matter if I tell you to do 10 to 12 minutes on a painting. If it's taking you 20 minutes to get to the next painting. So that's why the 90-minute count is important. And I wasn't counting myself down like that. So I could know I needed to do at least 5 to 7 paintings in an hour, or at least in that 90-minute cook down, and let it cook it down. And I'm like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. I don't care what it is. I need to do it because I need to get on to the next one. I need to get on to the next one or die trying because it's important for my business. Let's see here. AZ Lady said, making me cry. Making you cry about what? And I had to be accountable for my time, just like I had to be accountable for my time now. So after I'm done with this monkey, this is going to be the last painting. Well, actually, hold on. You know what? After this monkey, I'm going to do a 16 by 20, and then the next one's going to be my last painting. Because I did say that I was going to do a 16. You know, I always close it off with a 16 by 20. That's usually like something that I want to do for myself. And it's going to be cubism. If you haven't already, please make sure you leave some likes in here, or leave me some super chats. Let me know that you appreciate the new camera setup with the palette. Or if not that, then join us in the eBay elite community. Let eBay know that we're a group of degenerates around here, some art degenerates. I need them firing off this channel to other people. Might change their lives. Change your life. Let's see here. Lady says, when you were talking about how this was meant to be for this time, it's so true. Discerning Light says, I love the timer idea because it makes me paint more free and playful. I don't get caught up into the details or make it perfect. Exactly. Let's see here. San Francisco says I've never been broke one day in my life. Sharona. Let's see here. San Francisco says I'd rather give away my art for free than sell it for $17. But you know what's funny? And yet you're here. You're here giving us all the algorithm. You're here giving us all the data points. You're here giving us all the attention. So even though I tell you that right now, right, because you're helping us go higher to the top, and you're helping my algorithm. But even though I tell you that, your impulse, you're not going to be able to help yourself but to stay here. You're still watching me. You're still giving me attention, and you still can't help yourself but to write a comment on there. Even though I just explained that to you right now that you're helping me by leaving comments and by giving me your frequency, then you still can't even help yourself because you're so impulsive where you're still going to write something else on there. And that's funny. I could easily ban you, but I don't want to. You're helping me. And even though I told you that, you're still going to be here watching me. You're here watching me. No one's watching you. That's how frequency works. Another thing that messed me up in my business real bad, and you have to be careful how to do it or how you go about this. It's up to you how you go about it. But I mean, I give you this option that's inside the community as well. Is that exactly? See, San Francisco, you're just proving my point right now. You can't even help yourself. But another thing when we talk about inside the community is that I give you the option for Uline. Uline is an option, and Uline's a great option if you really have the clientele that's there. You're really pumping out some 16 by 20s, or you need something overnight for tomorrow that's very important. Then that's a great option. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's a great option, but it's also something that can torpedo your business. It could torpedo your business if you're not ready for it, you don't have the clients for it, because it adds up. It's very expensive, and it could be a good thing too. Like I was using Uline a lot. I was using Uline a lot when I started, but also when I was making a lot of sales for the 16 by 20s. And it's fine during that time because it kind of like breaks even. You're charging on the pricing anyways, but it's just, it adds up. It adds up real fast. I mean, it just depends on how you want to use it. I don't want to shun on it, but that's why I love the way how we ship now and how I talk about it by using the boxes that we talk about and how we use the poly bags, because it's basically free money. But I didn't have that option back then. I mean, I probably did have that option, but I didn't have the business sense of how we use it now. So it's one of those things. It's a love hate relationship when it comes to Uline. I do like their boxes. It depends on the type of box, like if there was a time where I had so many 16 by 20s. So it was just easier for me to buy them like that because it's easier for me when I had to do the shipping and I had the boxes and I could just put them in the box, flip it, and push it out. It's easier. But when it comes to the other boxes at times now when I have one-offs, then I would just get a box from my box place, a local box place, and I have to cut it down. It takes me a little bit of time to either cut it down or I have to find it. All right, there we go. Let's see here. Gigi says, "Why eBay over Etsy?" I like both of them, and I have a course in there as well, or a lesson that's inside the course where we talk about how to cross sell on to Etsy. I like Etsy, but the thing with Etsy is Etsy's not the king. eBay's still the king, and eBay has auctions. So we push auctions on there because it pushes our algorithm where it pushes the sales conversion higher. We're not waiting around for the sale, and we're not waiting around for the collectors. So even if there's a time where eBay wants to be fishy or they want to be something with their algorithm or something might change, they can't help us. They can't stop our collectors that we already gathered to come to our auction. If you're waiting for a sale like Etsy or something like that, or buy it now, then you're still at the whelm. You're still at the helm of a situation where you're waiting and you don't know because it could be an algorithm thing or whatever, or even psychologically you could be feeling like it's an algorithm thing. I just hate feeling like I'm waiting on a sale. But I know from me, like I've collected so many collectors, if I want to start an auction, eBay or the algo, it can't stop my collectors who already purchased from me from coming to my auctions. That's the party. So the auctions is what forces the sale. The auctions is what forces a paycheck every single day. I like having paychecks every single day. The auction lets me know, it guarantees me that I'm getting a paycheck. All right. And that's that. It smells like polar bear hair gatekeeper. Right? It does, doesn't it? You've noticed that too? Or 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 one of those or one of those newsletter art fair people. All right, so this is our monkey right here. Let me just throw our signature on there. And then that's that. Look at that. That's so cool. Tell me that ain't cool. All right. Here, let me show you what this looks like. Boom. Look at that right there. What do you think? That's our king monkey right there. He's crazy. All right, let's do a 16 by 20 right now, and then we'll call that quit. We'll call that quits. All right. Let's drop this down a little bit. Boom. And then the last note that I got for mistakes that I've made in my art journey is Mona Lisas, man. I mean, I know we always talk about it, but the Mona Lisas is just a problem. The Mona Lisas is such a problem. I was just always trying to make these Mona Lisas. Let's see here. This one's going to be a nice, I want to do a figurative piece for me right now as the last painting. It's going to be nice, a nice figurative painting, a figurative woman. These are always great right here because you can do these however you want. Yeah, it's going to be great. There is no right or wrong when it comes to this. Stargate, how you doing? Evening from rainy UK. Hope you're good. Isn't it always rainy though? That's how we always think of here in America. We always think in the UK is just raining every day there. It's just gloomy and raining every single day. Now, when it comes to these type of paintings, right? Like you see how loose I'm doing this background and how watery I'm doing it? These are the looks that sell. Like I'm gonna put a little bit more water on there and let the water do its thing, like real loose on this background. Because we're still gonna put another layer on top of this. And then what you can do as well, like here, let's do a little bit of red on this outside here. Make it like this. Check this out, I'm gonna show you something cool. What you can do, let's add a little bit of brown. And then what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of color like that where it's at the top, right? And then I take my spray bottle, always got the spray bottle on standby. You get these from the 99-cent store. And let's just have some of these drips go by down here. Look at that. The drips is what sell. The drips is what sells. Look at that. That's beautiful. That's going to be so beautiful. The drips is what sells. All right. Now let's just dry this off and see what y'all are going on about in this comments here. Why do I smell burnt hair right now? Let's see here. King Monkey looks like he's a candidate for Congress. Laugh out loud. Exactly. He would be too. He'd be perfect for Congress. They don't do nothing. Joby says, there was a time I was an art director here in DC in Adams, Morgan, and had over 100 artists. 100 artists. I sold a lot of paintings, but got burnt out with the job. Unprofessional student study says, man's a Zen master. Something like that. Something like that. Sargay says, all good, yes, it's always raining, but have a storm coming and extra bad right now. It sucks. My dog has to be dragged out for walks. That's a spoiled dog then, huh? Let's see here. Joby says, 2 artists that were in my art fair grew a huge following. Now they sell tons of art on their website. This looks great. I love the backgrounds like this. Like I love the backgrounds like this because when it comes out, it's going to look so good. The drips, the drips. Trust me on the drips. Try them out. We have. It's not like we don't have the heat gun, so we can't dry out the areas, but the drips add to the layers, makes it look super gallery. Don't forget to have fun too. Exactly. It's all about having fun. If you're not having fun, that's the fun part. That's the fun part about creating art with me. I have fun with the idea of that, like what I could get away with. Art is what you could get away with. And if I could get away with doing a painting in such a short amount of time and I could do whatever I want, then that's the fun part for me. It's like not taking things so serious. Everything else in life, they take things so serious. It has to be like this. It has to be like that. So serious. Like, why are you so serious? Like you sound like such a fun person in real life. Whatever I could get away with. I'm just doing a rough outside coloring of our figure because I still want the drips there and I still want our original colors, right? So I'm just doing that. And we still have the drippage. Now, what we can do is go into the figure. These paintings do so well. And the thing is, when we do paintings like this, right, you don't actually have to color in the whole thing that's inside of the figure. Leave some of the drips there. Leave some of that exposed. Leave the body there. Like you could do, like I could spend a whole day. This is the thing. You could just pull up different types of figures or references on figurative, and you could be doing plenty of these all day. Like there's been times where I would just spend a whole day doing these because they sell well and just different versions of it and how I go about having the fun with it. Because there is no right or wrong in how they're shown. I used to have so much ego, and that was the thing that was killing my art more than anything. It was the ego. I think that's why it's like that's one of the number one things that we talk about inside the community is how to get away from the ego. And I stress that heavy to not have your ego be involved because I've wasted so many years of having my ego be involved in the art, thinking that there's aspects that I could control when I can't control any of it. Now, even though I'm putting in some heavy colors in here, right, like a white, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to drip even the body. So I'm still going to do some drippage on this as well. You'll see what I'm talking about. So like, let's see here. And you know how they always say like what we always say is like scared money makes no money, but it's also the desperation. Humans can smell the desperation in your artwork where they see that you want it too bad. You know, you're making the polar bear hair kind of thing. They can smell it where it's like it's too desperate. You care too much about the art. If you care too much about the art, it just doesn't come off as confident. Like you see how I'm spraying this right now? Like I want that. I want that loose look. And then we're going back into it. says Stargate says her dog still has a coat and everything and still won't go outside. Oh, Lee, we know you love some drips. Your artwork is beautiful. Yeah, your artwork looks like this. Like you have the drip background and then you do the flower with it. I love it. Cause that's my favorite look. Like it's just this is my favorite look. Like that whole the drip wet canvas. It's very gallery-esque look. Because it shows the confidence in the work. It shows the confidence of the work that there's layers to it and there's an undertone. All right, now let's bring her home. Let's bring her home tonight. And you guys, you don't have to feed. Remember we talked about earlier, like even before what we said earlier, like if you want to have people understand your point of view, it could be your family, it could be whatever. The best thing that you could do is like not give into the energy. They'll get more upset that you're not giving into the energy, and then they have no choice but to go back into themselves and reflect on who they are or whatever the thing is. Remember we were talking about that? And it's like there's even certain people in your life. It could be about art. It could be about business. It could be about politics. It could be whatever. They'll get upset to be like they'll say certain things just to get it like you. They want you to match their attention or to match their energy. And then have you ever noticed if you don't at all, you don't even give them no light or nothing. They get more upset that you're not. I said something to you. Say something back. The best thing is like don't say anything at all. Don't match their energy because there's nothing to say. They'll eventually you know leave or they'll be upset with their own selves. They have their own issues that they're going through. It has nothing to do with you. And in life, a person without haters or someone saying something is a person without character who's not doing something. You got to be doing something right if you got people who's wanting to say something to you, you know. But the thing is, and it's something you have to work on too. Because a lot of times with us being humans, we always sometimes we want to have the last word. We want to say but. And the best thing you could do in the buts is this to say nothing at all. Give nothing no energy. They'll be mad at themselves that you're not matching the energy of whatever's going on in their life. If not, then they wouldn't feel the energy to even want to say something to you. They want the attention. But when you don't give it the attention, how come you're not focusing on me? Didn't you hear what I said? I said this about you. Now say something back. No, it's okay. So just use that in your life. You don't have to, I don't want you to go back and forth. And then also online too, especially when it comes to things online, you could be going back and forth with a damn algorithm and a robot. You don't even know. Like you'd be going back and forth with someone in China on different phones. Like none of these things matter. It's called rage baiting, yeah, right? AZ lady said I was married to someone like that. Yeah. And it takes years of practice and maturity to also get to the point where you have to know that and you have to be mature enough to the best weapon is to say nothing at all. To know that they're coming from that energy because we all know people like that that's in our lives. We all know people like that that's um maybe not in our lives because I hope they're not in your lives because you could just get those people out of your life or not communicate with them. But we all had people like that in our lives where humans are so adamant and stubborn where a lot of times they'll stick their beliefs are so radical or so their beliefs, they don't even believe in the things that they say, but they only believe in it because they know that you're going to try to be stubborn and fight them on it, or try to prove them, or try to give them the attention. A lot of times it's based off of attention. But also a lot of times too, when you're doing something right for yourself and your frequency is going higher, you'll get people that will come into your life, or even if it's your own family member, that will try to they just want to have attention from you. Or a lot of times these people are fans in a weird way. It's crazy, right? A lot of times you'll get people who will just say things to get attention from you, because in real life they're a fan of you. They see that your frequency is getting higher and they're a fan. So never match energy. And I always have to tell younger people that, in their younger 20s or whatever, I say, the best weapon that you do have is don't match energy. Because usually when you match energy, it gives off the impression that y'all are the same. And then they'll be more upset when you don't match their energy, you don't converse with them and try to do that. Because I don't want you to I don't want you to do that where you're like the same. You're up here. The only people only punch up. They don't punch down. You're up here. So why are you over here conversating and trying to explain yourself to someone who's lower than you? Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to try to convince anybody. But no, but this is actually how it works. Because then they're going to be more, they don't even believe in the things they say, or they don't even know what they're talking about, but they're going to be more stubborn in the things that they say, because they know that you're giving them the attention. So they're going to be like, just so you could be more upset. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's like a child. You have to think of people like a pendulum child. And sometimes children don't even know what they believe in or what they're saying. They're just saying it and going hard because they see that they're rage baiting you and you're getting emotional to it. It's also like, I think of like vampires. Vampires only feed off the energy. Don't let it feed off of your energy. You ever be on the phone? You ever be on the phone with somebody where it's like you're having a great day, but they're having a bad day? They call you, and then they start some crap with you, or they say something, and then all of a sudden they hang up the phone, and you feel their energy, like you feel like crap now. But I'm pretty sure they hung up the phone and they feel like they won some debate, or they won some conversation about nothing that had nothing to do with anything. When really you could have already beat them from the beginning by not even engaging. Or if they tried it, you could pick up on what they're trying to do and switch the subject real quick. Hey, how's the weather? How was your job today? You ever notice they get real pissed off if you switch it on them? Gigi says they want to match your energy because they know that your energy is on a higher ground. So if you stoop lower, they feed off of you. Exactly. And you can't roll around in mud, because now y'all are both dirty. Don't roll around in mud. You're both dirty. And this is the thing too, like, whenever someone is being stupid, or whatever your point is, that you think that you're on the higher ground of it, you'll never be able to beat them, because they can always beat you at being dumb. You can never beat a dumb person because they're dumb. Like, they'll say things that's illogical, irrational. You can never beat somebody like that. The only way that you can beat them is not to participate at all. And then they get upset that you're not participating because it's not worth it. You think a billionaire or somebody high of a celebrity would just be over here to someone else who's like doesn't even matter, or going back and forth? Like, that would give them energy. Like, ha, I can't believe I got this person who's this important person to, I threw off their day. They would feel good about themselves. So don't do that to yourself. And don't do that in these comments either. If we get some whatever robot. I just want to add a little bit of a light white in here. But you know what I'm saying. But I can't teach that to everybody because some people's impulses are different. So you can't teach that to everybody. Because some people actually can't help it where they want to get the last word in. Even though I teach you that and I can say that to you, some humans you can't teach that to. And you know that too. You can have some people that's in your family where it's like, you know, not to ride in the car with them or to be certain places with them. Because if there was a stranger out, they would want to get the last word and get in an argument. And you'd be like, why are you arguing with this stranger? And they can't help it. It could be your sister. It could be somebody. We all know these people who are so impulsive and they can't help themselves. And you're like, it makes you look bad. Like, all right, now I know I can't, in the future, I can't go out with you no more, man. You crazy. Like, you want to get the last word in. Like, no, but don't you understand? Like, chill out. Why are you matching their energy like y'all are the same? Maybe y'all are the same. You're starting to make me think that y'all are the same if y'all arguing back and forth. You know what I'm talking about. All right. And there we go right there on that painting. I'm cool with that. That is woo. Look at that. Huh? Look at that painting right there. Drippy impressionism. No, not impressionism. It's a figurative, abstract figurative woman right there. Oh man, I love her. I think I'm gonna keep her for me. This is mine. I think I want it. It's mine. All right, let me know what you think. That's beautiful. So that's what we got right there for you. That was a nice 2 hours. All right, exactly 2 hours. That's not bad. I try to give you an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think we had a great conversation today, some great discussions, some things that I could chop up later on and edit these into, edit them in, edit them out. Let's see what we see here in the comments. Let's see. You get less money for principles. People love originals. Yes, that's very true. Can't believe that's a question. But there is no such thing as a dumb question. But yeah, people want originals. Prince? Huh. Let's see here. They want you to match their energy because they know that their energy is on higher. Okay. I remember reading that. Thanks, GG. 717 Best says you could also sell prints on canvas and add some brush strokes. Yeah, you can, but by the time that you already do that, like, you might as well just painted it in that time. Like you can. I've thought about doing that too. Um, I think I even done it a couple times too. But I mean, by the time that you already done that work and you did it, you might as well just painted it. To be honest, let's see here. Then it's bye. Yep, it's bye. Life's too short to roll around in someone else's mud. So true. Well done, well said. Thank you, GG. Joby says, I've ended friendships like those. So have I. Stargate said, I just smiled and agreed. They hate it. Yep. They hate it. They hate it when you smile and, because you're being the higher person by having reserve. Most people don't have reserve. So they're mad that you're even reserved enough to not even care. Like, how dare you not have your ego be involved and you want to argue back with me? Oh my God. Most people fall into the bait. And when there's a fight, you know that feeling. When there's a fight, there's an argument, no one wins. And you being on the higher frequency, if you're here right now, if you're part of the elite community, if you're even here on this channel, you're watching this, you're at a higher frequency. You're here for a reason. Don't be there arguing with people. Don't do that to yourself. You're better than that. All right, let's see here. Thanks for these live streams. Nice. Always thanks for sharing. Thanks. The original art has more potential to make more money than print. Yep. Sharon says, having fun painting after the discussion. Yeah, discussion, right? That's also that's some other trash right there that somebody would try to say to LARP you into something. We're just having a discussion, right? Let's see here. Jada Hunter says, thanks heaps. Sun's finally coming out. That's awesome. Gigi said, preach. Unprofessional said, thanks. A real pleasure. Discerning Light says, why not just paint the original if you like painting? Exactly. So that's what we got right there for you. We had a good studio session. This was a good one. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday already. Whew. Time flies when you're having fun. Tomorrow's Wednesday already. I got some cool videos that's going to be released today. They're already edited and chopped up. They're from 2 weeks ago on some of the discussions that we have. So check those out as well. If you haven't already, click the link or put some likes in here in the comments so that way eBay knows that we had a good stream, that we could get it out into the algorithm for other people to come in here and have discussions, right? And then if you're not already a part of the elite community, click the link below, join us in here. If you join this week before Saturday, and if you join the VIP for the year, I'm going to send you a free projector. So that's for everybody. Anybody who joins the elite for a year, then I'm going to send you a free projector that's till this Saturday. And that's how much I believe in you. So I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Hope everybody had a good time on here. I had a great time. We had some really good paintings, and I always have a great time. This is a blast. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you in the community if you're already in the elite community, and I'll see you in there. We can have share your artwork, share what's going on in there, and then we'll go further. All right, I'm gonna check y'all later.